Hey everyone, you're watching Conversations in Pop Culture, and I am your host, Andrew Davis. And before we really get into this interview, I do want to remind everyone that you need to support and financially support what you love, whether it is this show, my guest, comics in general, or corporate media. I personally do not care as long as you are supporting what you love, because without money, the stuff you love doesn't get made. But enough about that, because I don't want to make this into a pity party, because I have with me legendary comic creator and the owner and very much developing and building out two television networks, Hart Fisher. So welcome back.
It's good to be back, man. I mean, you were recommended to me. Wasn't I on here with you with Lucifer Storm?
I don't think so.
But I've done like, I think this is what, our fourth show?
I think this is our second.
No, we did a second one, and then the other time you were just like, man, we could talk forever.
No. I thought that was the first one, and then we went for like 3 hours, which was
Jesus
crazy.
Christ. We're not going for 3 hours tonight, man. I gotta get laid tonight, for Christ's sake.
Obviously, though, I mean, I wouldn't have you back on if I didn't want you back on. I am backer number 7 with your comic project, Hart Fisher's Big Book of Dahmer. Obviously, Jeffrey Dahmer is a pretty hot topic with the Netflix show that just dropped out. Almost 200 million people have seen it, probably more at this point. And
actually more. The very first week the Netflix special hit, they had 196 million viewers worldwide watch that special just in the first week alone.
It's crazy. It's crazy the fact that it's been 30 years since 1992, which is when the comic first dropped that you wrote. For those who don't know, I mean,
the Jeffrey Dahmer comic book was originally published March 2nd, like March 1992, and there were 2 other printings. So there's a second printing and a third printing. The first printing we did 4,000 copies. The second printing we did 10,000 copies. The third printing, I think we did 3,000 or 4,000 copies. So that first printing is really rare, and you know it's a first print because it says the cover price is $250, and second print I believe it's $275. Third print might be $295, and the third print has like a rainbow thing at the bottom, like a collector's item issue, and it's really weird. I went through hell with that book because of the mass media's misrepresentation of what it is and what its contents were, and I did the whole talk show circuit, and so it's really weird to wake up 30 years later and have yourself and the work of your artists, the guys that did the books with you that I'm very proud of. I think that Nelson Danielson did amazing work on the Dahmer versus Christ book, Dahmer Zombie Squad. Eric Ganoff, amazing Russian artist, did a great job on young Jeffrey Dahmer. And my artist on the first Dahmer book was a newspaper illustrator, because we were trying to handle the bio as tastefully as we could with a distasteful subject matter. And so to see yourself maligned again 30 years later, and the people made this movie and made this series know that my girlfriend was raped and murdered in the middle of this controversy. In the middle of making my first film, The Garbage Man, my girlfriend Michelle was raped and murdered in a motel robbery, and my father almost died too. And so when they made this series, the producers are being very disingenuous about myself and about the work, about the purpose of the work. They throw me under the bus. They Photoshop altered the covers. They put their own guy on the bio book. They Photoshopped, I don't even know why they did this on the Dahmer versus Christ book. It's my artwork. I drew it. The artist on the Dahmer versus Christ book, Tommy Pons, blew his deadline. So the night before we had to go to print, because we were going to lose all our orders, I had to draw the cover. So I drew the Dahmer versus Christ cover the night before, the whole thing. And so it's really odd to see your work altered, and there's no reason for it. I mean, if they had wanted a release on the covers or the books, I would have given it to them, because I've done that many times. I'm an entertainment professional. So that's a big part of why I'm asking people to contribute to my Indiegogo campaign for the Big Book of Dahmer. So you could bring back the original, so you could help a guy who's been stepped on by the mass media and shit upon. And I think everybody out there can understand what it's like to have this giant corporate behemoth just shit on you out of nowhere. and we're putting all 4 books into one volume, and we've got different covers. We've got one alternate cover coming up where I'm actually ripping Dahmer apart in hell. We've got new pinups from Nelson Danielson. I've been talking to Mark Beecham. We've got Andrew, oh God, I'm going to massacre his name, Mangum. Oh man, I got to talk to Andrew and find out how to pronounce his last name. We've got a trading card set. We've got a lot of really cool stuff here. But I think what's most important is the books are really good. They're really solid. And the media has been lying to you about them. And I think that people are going to want to read these books.
So let's even talk about that, because the last time we spoke about, and you were on, we spoke about this, and obviously going through the entire, circuit and being on Larry King, and I always get Jesse something Raphael. I always get it.
Raphael.
Yeah, I always get it mixed up. It always is just loose in my head. Obviously, Jerry Springer was another one, and even just the hatred. And it wasn't just you. There was others that were with you who were doing some, serial killer trading cards and some other stuff. And the hatred from these people trying to ruin your career and trying to prevent this from even being out there. And it's a real freedom of speech issue. And I feel like in today's age, this is a hell of a lot more accepted. So it seems very weird that they would even want to alter it, because if they were so concerned about the subject matter, they wouldn't have made a Netflix, series out of it.
To be honest with you, my friends and I have been talking. So like this series hit me out of nowhere. I had no idea it was happening. I've been reeling from a lot of deaths in my life. I've lost a lot of my best friends. I lost my wife. I lost my mother. So I've been just shell-shocked with everything that's gone down, with the lockdown, with coming out of the lockdown, with all these deaths. And a lot of these deaths were very unnecessary. But I don't think I want to go onto that circle. So I'm in this weird space, and I'm really focused. After my mother's death, I decided I'm going to get back into comic books, and I'm going to reconnect with that love. Comic books were my first love as a kid, since I was 5 years old, when I was starting to read like Richie Rich and Little Lulu, and my friend Patrick Yannikis, who was 4, gave me a bunch of Richie Rich comics and Little Lulu comics, and I loved them. And I started drawing my own books right from the age of 5. And so my mom and my father encouraged me very much. So that's why I did the Build a Bull first. And everybody in my circle's like, dude, you got to do Dahmer. You got to do Dahmer. But the Dahmer book raises up a lot of emotional landmines for me, because in the middle of the controversy, my girlfriend was raped and murdered. Leading up to the controversy, 2 of my girlfriends were raped. One almost killed by some psycho who yanked her out of her apartment, nearly beat her to death. So when people say, Hart, why would you write these books? Because I'm a victim of violent crime, because my loved ones have been victims of violent crime. And I was deeply, deeply disturbed, and continue to be disturbed, by the way they portray these serial killers. And I think that it's amazing to me that they portray me as this insensitive, evil man making all this money off the victims' families, when it's actually Netflix and Ryan Murphy, the producer of American Horror Story. He's gotten a lot of flack for doing these kinds of exploitive things. And Ryan knows me. Like, he doesn't know me as a person, but Ryan has stolen from me before in the past. He's an intellectual property thief. And so for him to include me in this as a villain, like, why am I even in this? Why are my books even in here except to shit on me and to fuck with me and to shit on my creators and to shit on the great work my people did? And we've already been through enough. I've had protest marches on my home. I've had death threats. My mother worked for the Department of Public Aid and in Illinois, and they portrayed me as a misogynist and a racist. And so my mother's working in Chicago in the Department of Public Aid, and more than half the people she's working with are black. So it was hard for her to even let them know who her son was because of this. And it affected my girlfriends. It affected my father. My father's in the audience of Jerry Springer, the Jerry Springer Show, when they let some guy up in his dashiki costume, and he's in the audience. He's like, I just wanted to know, what kind of piece of shit raised you? Hey, thank you, man. I'm glad that you, don't like my 24-page comic book, but never mind that I was a member of the National Honor Society. I graduated fourth in my class. I went to a high school for super smart kids. Uh, I gave blood all the time, captained the swim team sophomore year. You know, the guy who helps the little old lady cross the street. That's the thing that people don't understand about me is I was raised to be a gentleman and a good person. And I
I
was
think
raised.
it goes to the idea that, are you able to separate somebody's work from them as a person? Are you able to separate the writer from their art or their project they produced? You know, and that's what writers are supposed to do. I mean, if a writer writes a gay character, are you going to criticize that writer for writing a gay character? But then they also wrote, straight characters. I mean, J.K. Rowling's a good example. There's a diverse bunch of people in Harry Potter, and I'm picking Harry Potter for a reason because it's controversial enough. Like, do you criticize J.K. Rowling for writing, a diverse cast of characters? I mean, to me, it
Well, so
seems
what are we supposed to say here? Are we supposed to say that a black man can't write a white character? Are we trying to say that a woman can't write a male character? Are we trying to say that, a midget can't write about a fucking tall person? That's bullshit. It's bullshit. It's fantasy, it's fiction. And I really believe in the artist's right to tell the story they want to tell.
I mean, I just take it that's what a writer's job is. I don't even know if it's even so much telling a story. A writer is supposed to imagine and do research and then convey a series of, things. And you want a diverse group of characters, in my opinion, at the very least. Because let's be realistic, if you had a bunch of white people in a room, it's kind of boring to some degree.
Well, I have to give it to you, brother. I grew up in the melting pot on the south side of Chicago. And I agree with that. I love him. It sounds weird, but I like people. I like people. And if you get the chance to travel, it opens up your eyes. Like when we were off the air, I mentioned that I did a lecture tour through Mexico where myself and a couple other creators were lecturing at universities through Mexico in 2003. And one of the great things was checking out their culture. And we didn't go eat anywhere where a tourist ate. We wanted to eat where they ate. And we hung out with them. And I went and I met my translator's parents and had dinner in her living room with them. And that's what I loved. Or when my wife was Japanese. I loved their culture and learning about their culture. I had a girlfriend in the late 90s who was from England, who was British. I loved learning about her culture, and it broadened me. It illuminated me, and it also filled me in on how we're all kind of the same. And I always go back to Clive Barker in his Books of Blood, in that no matter who you are and what color you are, when you open us up, we all bleed red. And I believe in that, and I believe in us as a species. And I think that's a big part of getting out of yourself and getting out of your bubble and going and experiencing things.
Yeah, no, I agree because I just think that, and a lot of people I think are terrified of that. I also think a lot of people don't want to go and experience that. I mean, one of the nice things about this show is that I speak to a variety of people, and I'm very lucky that I get very much exposed to culture through this show. When I'm doing 130 interviews, I'm speaking to a wrestler, I'm speaking to a cosplayer, and I'm speaking to people from all over the world. I mean, I've spoken
It
to
was
people.
that way for me when I was doing MMA and I was training with Gokor Chavichian at his Hayastan Academy. Gene the Bell was Monday nights. And you never knew who was going to come through that door. You got to train with people from Croatia, from Italy, from we were there one day and there were 3 guys in there from the German judo team, the Olympic German judo team. And that was awesome. And then you'd show up and there'd be a dude there whose job was to teach the security people for the president of France. And you'd meet all these people from everywhere. And once you got on that mat, man, and once you started grappling, you were just 2 dudes on the mat grappling.
Yeah, I think you know what is. I think a lot of people are just terrified right now, and I think this is one of the things about writing too. That's a big problem, and I'm very curious what you think about this. Is that people don't have enough experience, and they don't have enough different experiences, and this is one of my biggest pet peeves right now with mainstream comics and even indie comics is that they're stale. I feel And look, I go through a lot of people's Kickstarters. I'm privileged that I get to interview them. And like, I'm now starting to sort of reject people because I'm like, there's nothing in your book that's interesting to me. And you're not piquing my interest. And I've seen this. And it's almost like Roman Reigns. I'm a huge wrestling fan. He has a great promo where it's like, it's missionary and missionary and missionary and missionary. And it was a great promo because that's what he was saying about John Cena over and over and over again. This is just like milquetoast every single time. And after a while, I want something different. I want jam on my toast, for fuck's sake.
Jam or marmalade or some other kind of nut butter. I want some almond butter, and let's throw some salami on there. God damn it! You like nut butter, don't you? You like that idea? A little bit of nut butter, some cheese from under, from under your balls.
Oh boy, this is gonna be a long interview, isn't it?
Dude, I've been having so many weird electronic problems. Like, okay, I was on the show with, do you know Max DeVille from Atrocity Press?
I'm sorry, I only know Mary Machine Gun.
Yeah, Mary Machine Gun.
It's a joke. It's a joke. I'm so sorry. It's just, it was too easy. It was too easy. Continue. I know who Max is. Max has been on a bunch of times with Johnny.
All right. Well, Max and I are friends. We're good friends, and we work together. And he worked in television and had his own channel, the Grindhouse channel. And so Max is my officer of tech for American Horrors. And so we do a thing every summer where I have him come out and stay with me for a week or two for us to have like a kayfabe, for us to get together and hang out and team build and figure out what are we doing this year. And so we're on this show, and I was having all these technical difficulties, and the goddamn fucking, okay, I'm on my laptop, which is sitting off camera here to the side, and the fucking camera goes out, and I get that to work. Then the fucking microphone goes out. Then fuck light won't go on. Then the Wi-Fi goes out. Then this other shit goes out, and we're keep going back and forth. And Max is like, yeah, the electronics at Hart's house are fucked. Because he stayed out there with me and he's worked with me on stuff. So I feel that what we have at Boneyard Press, and I have an alliance with a lot of really great creators, okay? And that's where it's at, is teamwork. Working together, overcoming obstacles, achieving your vision, helping each other out, helping each other deal with the peccadillos of publishing, or even just to confer with your friend and go, man, I've got this person sabotaging my campaign because I fired them, and now they're online whispering about me. What do I do? Well, for me, I'm like, well, fuck them. Roll right over that little asshole.
Let's talk about something that's actually relevant to this.
Okay.
You know who Mike Barron is, right?
Oh, yeah. No, I'm a huge Mike Barron fan.
So Mike was on this show because his thing got completely banned on Indiegogo.
Which one?
Private American, I want to say.
Was that the one?
I think so. So
when he was talking about it's the real Punisher?
Yeah. On like the southern border.
So you mean Shadow Band?
Yes. Shadow Band is the correct term, I guess. But I just got, Shadow Band, my bad. I think we all knew what I meant, but yeah. It's Shadow Band, where you can't look it up. You need the link to find it. It's right now on Kickstarter. It's right now in a few other places. And so I had Mike on to talk about it, and we had a very interesting discussion for about an hour on this. And I think that's a real issue. I
Why
also
do you think Elon Musk bought Twitter? Free speech, guys. When we're living in a country where you ban our active president from speaking, what the fuck does the First Amendment mean? What the fuck does fair trade fucking mean when these tech companies decide they're going to hide your content because they don't like the morality of your story?
I mean, and look, I'll throw another thing that's the opposite. So there's a book called Saga. Saga is an image book by Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples. Saga
Isn't that an older book? Hasn't that been around for a while?
Issue 61, I think, comes out next week.
Yeah, I've heard of Saga.
I thoroughly enjoy Saga. If you don't, everybody has different tastes. but issue 13 had a homoerotic scene in it, and Apple banned it on like the Comixology app for you buying it when it first came out. Now,
Because it had gay sex?
What?
Because it had gay sex in it?
Yeah, it had gay sex in it. And this was issue 13 a while back, maybe like 6 years ago. But the point is that that's insane to me, where it's like you could put a disclaimer. You could say, look, you have to be 18 to buy it. I think that's fair to some degree. But I also think that because there was some nudity in there too, and Saga is an 18 or older book. So, at that point,
You mean it's a mature reader's book. It's not like an X-rated book. It's a mature reader's book, which is
yes.
Okay. You want to communicate to your retailer. I remember when they were first doing this mature reader stuff, and Frank Miller really came out against it. And I understood where he was coming from, because they were trying to impose a rating system on us again. And what folks fail to understand is comics are an adult medium. People that are buying comic books are grown-ups. They're not children. They've been an adult medium. In World War II, it was the #1 read medium was comic books. And the G.I. Joes, they read them when they were overseas. They read comic books. So this notion that you need to protect the children, or you got to protect somebody from an idea, that's where we're really in trouble. This notion that you got to protect somebody from an idea. You get what I mean? Like, oh no, that's a dangerous idea. Well, aren't we living in a free society with free speech and the right to communicate? And Mike Barron, I know he's been caught up in this stuff, but if you are a student of Mike's work and you've read his work since Nexus and the Badger, forget the Marvel Punisher shit. Actually, Mike, I don't like your Punisher shit, dude. I'm sorry. I prefer the Executioner from Don Pendleton. Thank you. But his Badger and Nexus and a lot of his other stuff is fucking genius. I mean, his work with Steve Rude should be in a comic book library for sure. And now they're trying to pigeonhole him into this right-wing shit. Go read Nexus. Is Nexus right-wing? The fuck it is. It's not. It's prescient of where the life we're living in now. So I'm a big Mike fan. So what did Mike say about this shadow banning thing?
I mean, we were just talking about it, and what was going on, and we were also talking about how some people said they were shadow banned when they weren't, but he was, and that it's a real problem. And we were also talking about the legality of it, because Indiegogo is private. So the idea of freedom of speech only applies.
There's still unfair business practices.
Yes. The issue is that if they're going to engage in that, I don't think they should be able to take their fee. That's how I view it, where if you're not going to give me full service, see, I view it as a contractual problem versus because I believe that you enter into a contract with Kickstarter and Indiegogo saying, I'm on your platform and you're getting a fee for providing me a service. So it's almost like they're getting.
I honestly think shadow banning is illegal. I really think shadow banning is illegal, and what we need is a real lawsuit. We need some people to get their balls together or get their big giant pussy together and fucking get together and sue these assholes when they shadow ban them. That's the only way this is going to change.
I think like a lawyer. So, that's how I think. And I'm not a lawyer.
That's
so
how I think. How do you think I defeated OJ in court? How do you think I defeated Marvel in court? How do you think I fucking defeated these people? How do you think I dealt with three different murder trials? How do you think I dealt with being dragged into other trials involving other stuff with Danzig and fucking chaos and all this other shit? I have been to court over a lot of shit, and I've had to negotiate a lot of contracts. Have you ever heard of that cartoon that was Metalocalypse?
I've heard of it, but I don't know much about it.
They had a band called Death Clock, and they were like Metallica, and they were a spoof of the biggest metal band in the world. And there's one episode where they've got Death Clock, the band, and they're negotiating a deal with the devil, and they drive him nuts. Like, we got subclause 3, 4, 5 here. This has got to go. This has got to come out. And they're all going through. And the devil's finally like, wow, fuck you guys. This is crazy. They're like, haven't you ever worked in the music business? Yes, I froze.
No, I was just laughing.
And so I feel that a lot of this stuff with the tech, like Amazon pulling their shit and other retailers pulling their stuff, where all of a sudden they're going to ban a book because they don't like the politics of the author. That's disgusting. That's what a communist country does. That's what Red China does. That ain't America, motherfucker. America is the land of the free and the home of the brave. And if you cowards can't handle an idea, get the fuck out and go to Mexico. Sorry. There's plenty of drug cartels that would like to talk to you about how you feel about these things. There's plenty of heads sitting on police chiefs' fucking steps that these guys have cut off and put there. I know that's a sidebar, but it's still like, guys, you're getting upset over bullshit. You're censoring all the wrong stuff. Uh-oh. I lost my light. There we go. It's coming back. There we go. Oh, no.
No, because this is how I feel, is that I view it very much in a contractual position where if you don't fulfill service, that to me is the issue. And I think that's a really fair argument. Now, I'm not a lawyer, and
it is fair terms of use. Fair terms of use. Insider trading practices. The shadow banning is clearly fucking illegal, and all it needs is the lawyer to come forward and make that happen. Do you get what I mean?
I absolutely agree, and I think this is one of the problems. And I just think that what it is. I don't think that people, and I'm very honest, where entrepreneurship, people don't have balls in this country anymore. It's
they do.
I mean, some do.
You just don't hear about it. Whoops, let me make it brighter. Oh, look at me, I'm all blown out. Look, I'm Madonna. I'm Madonna with a mustache.
Don't worry, you're the sunshine in my life, Hart. Don't worry about it. You're the
I am the sunshine, the only sunshine. You make me happy and so gay. I do karaoke. What can I tell you? That's my thing to do to blow off steam. I go to a bar here in Lake Geneva called Fat Cats, or sometimes on Fridays I'll go over to Foley's, my friend over there who runs Foley's bar over on 50 in Lake Geneva. Little plug for you, Mo. They've got a bar. They got karaoke on Fridays. They got a great restaurant. So just a little plug for my friend Mo.
Yeah, but I just think more people need to just do it. That's how we solve these problems. Or you need to build an alternative. But
when I was in Los Angeles doing political radio, Heart Attack Radio, one of the things that people at home might not know about me is I'm known for my ability to build teams and leadership. So I was flown to Japan, to Tokyo, to give a lecture on team building and leadership to the Japanese. So I know something about this, and what this takes is, when I was in Los Angeles doing Heart Attack Radio and I was very politically involved, I organized people to handle things. And some of the stuff we did was like, guys, the only way a change will happen is with lawyers. We got to bring the lawyers in. And so a lot of these unfair practices, a lot of these things that are happening with censorship, we need to bring the lawyers in, and we need to let them attack. And I've been running into a lot of censorship with this big book of Dahmer. So it's okay for Netflix to do a 10-episode miniseries on this and be totally exploitative, totally recreate the horror, totally exploit the sexual nature of these crimes and make it look lurid. So it's okay for them, but it's not okay for me to do a comic book about the subject matter. So I've been running into some stuff. I really would urge people to go to my Hart D. Fisher's Big Book of Dahmer Indiegogo campaign and contribute, because, guys, we're fighting censorship here. And I can't believe 30 years later I'm running into flack. I've got people trying to shut the project down. I'm getting death threats again. This shit's happening all over again because of fucking Netflix's series. But I didn't do anything new. I've been doing American Horrors at American Horrors Classic, my television channels that are totally free to watch on Roku or at www.americanhorrors.net or www.boneyardpress2020.com. But getting back to the interference of these people, there's a lot of backstabbing shit going on behind the scenes where people are trying to sabotage this campaign. They're upset that I get along with Ethan Van Sciver, and there's people trying to shut me down on this. So I need your help out there. For whoever's listening, I do need your help. It's called crowdfunding for a reason. And I need the support of the real true crime fans, the real fans of free speech, the real fans of seeing the truth of the matter instead of being led to a conclusion. Because the book is good. It's collecting all 4 Dahmer books in one volume, and it's a really good book.
Yeah, let's even dive into that a little bit too, because obviously, I mean, it's not just the unauthorized biography of Jeffrey Dahmer. There is, Dahmer Zombie Squad is in there. There's Jeffrey Dahmer versus Jesus Christ, which I think is
young
funny.
Jeffrey Dahmer.
And then there's the further adventures of young Jeffrey Dahmer in there as well. And so a lot of this stuff, and I'm being very honest, I mean, we were speaking where, these books are very expensive now. If you want a floppy of this book, sometimes they're like $100, $120, sometimes they're more. And they're also a pain in the ass to find in good conditions. And so there's people like me, I was not even born when this book came out. And so I want to read some of this stuff. And it's also making it accessible too. And that's the other thing I think that people don't realize either is that, sometimes, somebody can't afford a $135 book, to read it, but they can afford a $35 book.
Yeah, that's a big part of it. Like I was doing an interview earlier in the week, and she was like, "Man, Hart, this is really affordable." And I'm like, "I ain't trying to gouge nobody. I want people to read this. I want people to read these books. That's why I'm doing the campaign."
Yeah, no, it's something that, I think it is necessary. And I think that accessibility and affordability is a big deal. It's very, very much important at this point because people get priced out of campaigns very, very quickly. They do.
Mm-hmm.
And I really, really, absolutely appreciate the fact that it's not an expensive project. And I think that's the other thing too, that's a big problem in comics is that I'm not saying you shouldn't charge what you're worth, but you also have to realize that there gets a point where if you want fans or you have to find, I guess, the sweet spot is where I'm going with this.
Well, that comes back to something we were talking about when I did this lecture tour through Mexico. All right. So I was there with 2 other creators, and the woman that sold me on doing this tour, like, I didn't go on my honeymoon. I went on this lecture tour after I got married instead, and my wife was not real happy with me. But it's like, honey, how often am I going to be invited to do a speaker tour through all these colleges in Mexico? And she's like, yeah, you got a good point there. But the thing that we ran into is the people that the woman that encouraged my friend and I to do this, she lied about the audience. She lied about what we were dealing with. So we showed up in Mexico with a product that they wanted, but they could not afford. And that's a thing is you have to understand point of purchase. You have to understand that they're all people. And I've been doing enough shows, enough comic conventions and such, where I could look at a guy or a lady and see them really struggling like, I want that book, but I can't afford it. And you know the truth. And they're kind of embarrassed. And it's okay. It's okay if you can't afford it. That's fine. There's all kinds of things going on in people's lives. And that's a big part of why I made the big book of Dahmer affordable. And I never went for the big, well, it's going to have a silver foil thing on it. And it's going to have a hologram. And it's going to reach out and jack your cock off for $500. No, I want it to be read. I want these books to be read. And so that's why I need folks to crowdfund me, goddammit.
Yeah, no, I think this is a big issue in comics right now because we see it with variants, we see it with real art, and we see campaigns doing a lot of money, but they have 50 covers. And I'm not saying there's not a market for that. And look, full disclosure, I make, a lot of money on eBay selling variant covers.
I'm sorry, but you're talking about Brian Polito, and it's everybody. We all know Brian. We know Brian at Coffin Comics. I'm a writer for Chaos, and so we know we're all talking about Brian here, and it's okay. We know what Brian's about with what he's doing. So let's just call a horse, a spade, and look at that jackrabbit run.
But of course. But the point I'm getting at is that there's nothing wrong with that. There's plenty of people who just love cover art. But also, if you create comics, don't you want your material to be read too? And this is where I think, like there are people who make a cover $10, but then they have all those variants. And I think that's a really good medium because most people I feel can afford $10. Not everybody can afford a $300, one-on-one super limited gold foil metal, but there's a super fan who wants it. And so I think you can make both fans happy and very, pleased. But I think some people do not understand that, where it is hard for me to try something new at $20 or $25 a pop when I don't know if I'm going to like it. And
Well, who would you consider the top three of crowdfunding?
What do you mean?
Well, there's certain people that raise a dollar amount consistently. Who would you think are the top three?
I mean, in comics, I think that right now, Brian Pulido does very well. I think it is one of them. I think that, on Indiegogo, I think Ethan does very well. And then I'm trying to think of a third. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of people who do.
I'm going to say Billy Tucci.
Billy Tucci does well. I think Ryan Brown does very well in a lot of ways. But that's also a different breed.
I think Billy, I really believe that Billy and his wife Deborah have found a good happy medium between creating the collectible and avoiding the exploitation of it. And I think Ethan too has also done a good job with that. I was on his show and we had a great discussion, and one of the things I felt is I'm like, and I wanted to know, like, are you happier doing Cyberfrog like this, or were you happier over at DC before the Comicsgate stuff? Where were you happier? Because I think what Ethan's doing, I think he's far more successful with what he's doing with his first love, Cyberfrog, than drawing Green Lantern for DC.
Yeah, I think that's interesting too, because I don't know. I don't want to speak for Ethan. I don't want to make any assumptions, but any artist in general, at a certain point, you have money or you have enough that you're not struggling. And then there's the real question is that what do you want to really do with your life? And what do you want to get accomplished? And
what I would say about that, and I've really seen this in films. Like, here's an example. I was working with an independent filmmaker in Los Angeles. This is like 20 years ago. And I'm working with this filmmaker, and we were going to do a low-budget zombie movie in the desert. And we were going to do this for like, I don't know, $8,000. Well, I found the investors and I found the 8,000. So I let the director know, hey, I found the money. We could do it. So he doubled his vision. Now we needed 16,000. So I went and I found close to that. And he fucking doubled his fucking vision again. It's like, what the fuck, dude? Why can't we make the $8,000 movie we talked about? I found the fucking money. Why do you keep like fucking going? And that's the thing with artists, and it's my own problem too. Like, oh, gee, Hart, you're not happy enough with one TV channel. You got to have another, and you got to publish comic books too, and you got to have your little fingers in the pie all the way. Your vision keeps getting bigger. The more money you get, you as an artist build bigger. Like, I don't know, if you got a hot girlfriend and you're having great sex, are you just happy with that great sex, or are you just looking to like, are you going like, how can I make this a little better? I saw this little vibrating bug over at Walmart or Walgreens, and it's in a little section by the condoms, and it's a vibrating bullet. Maybe that might take things up a notch. And that's the humanity, that's the creativity. So an artist is always pushing up. So every time you think you've got plenty of money and you're okay, all of a sudden you've got a grander vision, you got a bigger vision. The more you succeed, the more you build on your success. Like, I would say Ethan with his Cyberfrog toys. Like, man, I want them. I fucking want them. I fucking want some of those fucking toys. There used to be a series of toys Marvel did the comic book for called Micronauts, that were my favorite toy growing up. And I look at his Cyberfrog stuff, and it looks a lot like those Micronauts. So I, as a 53-year-old guy, want my own set of the fucking Cyberfrog toys. I know it's weird, right?
But isn't that what comics are really supposed to be about? And even all these action figures and all these toys, is that because if it is an adult medium, don't we all just want to relive our childhood? And don't we all want that? Because I mean, I'll be very honest. When I look at certain books, you know, I'm like, man, I remember reading something when I was 12. I'm 29, and I remember reading, and it brings me back, because this is one of the things I have a problem with comics too right now, is that I don't want comics have always been political, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I want to escape because life is hard. I mean, I've had a very hard day today in a very personal way, and so I like to watch anime. I like to watch comics. I'll watch like a movie that's a comedy, because I want to forget about my problems until I have to wake up tomorrow and redo it. And then
that's
go to
why
my
you
job.
don't see Saw on American Horrors. That's why on my television network, American Horrors, totally free on Roku or online at www.americanhorrors.net. And now American Horrors Classic. My television networks are meant to be an escape, all right? So when we were launching the TV network, my wife and I, because my wife and I never got to have children. Our only child is the television networks. And American Horrors Classic is my best reproduction of the channel that she had and the channel that she ran to honor her memory. So when we decided how to handle these networks, I was doing political radio. I was already doing Heart Attack, and we're like, you know what, Hart? American Horrors isn't political. It is escapist entertainment. So we made a decision, and we financially took a hit. We took a financial hit because we wouldn't do starving dog ads, starving kids ads, cancer kid ads. My ad people are like, oh man, those St. Jude commercials do really well, Hart. And I'm like, no, they take you completely out of the entertainment. They're a channel changer. Every time I see the tortured dog ad, I'm like, change it, change it, change it, God damn it. I'm traumatized. And I'm on a horror channel. So we try to avoid political ads. I took a new ad company on, so I'm kind of unhappy that we have these get your jab, better get your jab ads on at the beginning of American Horrors Classic, but it's because it's the modern age, and those ads that feed in are kind of out of my control. And I was trying to avoid that kind of thing because my notion was American Horrors and American Horrors Classic should be the one place you could go to get away from your day, where everybody knows your name, where everybody knows your name. Cheers, baby.
So let's even talk about that too, because one of the things is that I was watching somebody and they were saying 4 things you need to know about indie comics, and they brought up the idea of marketing in your brand. And this is what this almost seems like, where when you're running a television show or network, you know, your commercials, while they're not the actual product, if you do play, you know, a certain, you know, ad, it could change the entire mood, and it could also change people then get associated with that. And so like that's an issue of, you know, how is your product going to be received? Because if you have certain ads that take away from the horror and then make somebody feel sad, but then there's going to be a final boy scene at the end of the movie, it could really mess up the actual, I guess, show or movie or whatever it is.
I agree.
And affect your brand. So what is that like? I think that's also something that I know nothing about that in business as far as, but you do, obviously.
I'm kind of a marketing genius. Sorry, I was patting myself on the back there. It's real. Okay, so you hit on something that's very important. I used to have these conversations with my advertisers. American Horrors was one of the very first online streaming companies that had these direct marketing ads. They're called direct response ads. We were the first. We were the first to make these deals with these big broadcast companies. Excuse me. And the notion was, in my discussions with them, I said to them, ladies and gentlemen, you need to know that the advertising is every bit as important as the content, because the advertising is content. So you need to make sure that that's just as entertaining. And one of the things I do at American Horrors on purpose is you got the show, and we have original shows, we have music videos, we have short horror films, we got classic horror films. There's no commercials during the feature films, but there are commercials during the television shows like Gorecast or True Crimes or Horror Show or the American Horror's classic shows. There's commercials, or Groovy TV, and we break up the commercial break with old classic commercials. So I'll put on the old commercial of the Flintstones smoking. Gee, Bonnie, I sure hate to see him work. Well, you know what, Fred? Let's go around back and have a smoke where we can't see him. Oh, that's a good idea. So I'll play that commercial, and I'll follow it with an anti-smoking commercial. Or I'll have a beer commercial and a, PSA about like, drugs are used to make you a puppet, man, so don't be a puppet. Because alcohol is a drug, because cigarettes are a drug, because, oh, you said marijuana is the gateway drug? Well, you're a lying prick. Alcohol's the gateway drug. It's legal. Cigarettes are a gateway drug. So I try to show some hypocrisy without saying anything by making it entertaining and let the audience draw their own conclusions.
Yeah, because I just think that that's super interesting. And obviously, I've seen a little bit of what you do, and I'm not a big horror fan. I'd prefer to sleep at night right now. I get scared easy. I really do. I really do. I get scared easy, and I have no shame in admitting that. I'm the one who screams in a movie theater when like Scream comes out. So it's not good. It's not good. I'm like frightened easily. Exactly. It's a problem. But I do think that understanding your brand and understanding even your audience, and also understanding that your audience is smart. At this point, I think, maybe 30, 40 years ago, television audiences were not as smart as they are today. And I could be wrong. I could be saying something anecdotal. So, don't quote me on that. But I feel like the average, viewer collectively is smarter than they've ever been. And so if you play that smoking commercial and then an anti-smoking commercial, they're going to get it and they're going to see the difference immediately. And it almost is one ad. And so what is that like? Because that's so interesting. And I find this to be beyond fascinating.
Well, okay, I will do that. Not only do I mix up the old commercials, I mix them up with the new. So we've got a commercial for like Blue Chew gum, which is erectile dysfunction gum, so you get a fucking hard on from your gum. And it's a really funny commercial with these dudes are going to go into space, and then his wife calls and, hey, your order from Blue Chew came in. Whoa, yeah! And he fucking gets off the rocket, gets the fuck out of there, goes to kiss his chick. And I'll follow that with Triple X beer. And it's a woman, like all sexy, like, you want a beer, don't you? And I like that because I schedule the network, both of them. And it's a flow. It's a linear flow. So I feel that the people at IFC or NBC, they forgot that it's all about the reader. It is all about the viewer. It is all about butts in seats and entertaining them. And also kind of keeping them guessing, because at American Horrors, we don't have a schedule. And people go, well, Hart, I really want to know what's playing on Friday night. Well, brother, when you go to the Daft Punk show at Coachella, do they give you a fucking playlist? Does Coachella give you a fucking, when you go to the Danzig show at Riot Fest, do you get a fucking playlist? You fucking don't. You fucking have no idea what goddamn, and you're hoping that Glenn's going to play your favorite song. You're hoping Danzig's going to play that song. So that's American Horrors, because I think that this pre-programmed age, you lost that magic of random. There's a magic of spinning the radio down going, ooh, I haven't heard that Foghat song in forever. Yeah, I'm old. I said Foghat. Oh, I haven't heard that Britney Spears song. And oh, I'm old. I said Britney Spears. Oh, I haven't heard that. Oh, it's a new Billie Eilish song I wasn't even thinking about. We won't even go there with Billie Eilish because Billie Eilish grew up next door to me.
So you mentioned something that also is interesting, and I used to incorporate this a lot in my speech, but I used to incorporate feeling the flow. And I think that's straight out of Yu-Gi-Oh's Exel. And there's a concept. And when I speak to you about interviewing, I'm like, if you get into a rhythm, you get into a beat, you get into a groove, certain things happen. And I would imagine, I think television to some degree, and even scheduling it, is very similar to panel flow in comics, where I've read books and somebody you could tell is just in a writing groove and their artist is in the groove and whoever's inking it's in the groove or a colorist is in the groove, and you can feel it and you can smell it. And I would imagine that, like, sometimes even with television and certain shows and even certain program blocks, you could tell that they've hit it right on the head, where like one show leads right into the next. And even though they're separate shows, you could feel that certain episodes led into each other. I think what's really nice right now that NBC does is that the Law and Order block on Thursdays is kind of like that, where you get into the groove. And then once you're watching one of them, it goes into the next one, it goes into the third one. And then you just watch 3 hours, but you're set into the groove. But if that first show misses, I mean, that groove is thrown off completely. And that's a real issue in a lot of ways. But what is that like? Because if you're talking about flow, I think it's very similar to comics.
It's all about the flow. Like, okay, at American Horrors, and I agree with comics is the same thing. It's one of the things I have so much respect for, like Billy Tucci and Joseph Michael Linsner, is they really have their flow down and they really are in the groove. They're fucking there, man. And I really like watching those guys work. And as people that you grew up with, and Billy came in right around the time I was already publishing. And I knew Billy and Brian Polito. I remember having like a meal with them before they both hit in some convention on the East Coast, or in some Chinese restaurant, and then to see them blow up that way. And like Joseph Michael Linsner, I was a fan of his work before I published his work for Cry for Dawn. So it's great that you can see these different contemporaries hit their stride. And flow is a good word. Groove. I like groove. Hit their groove. And I really, that's what American Horrors is about. Like, I'm about to jitter up the schedule a little bit, and I'm thinking about reworking. We've got a show called Riffhead that is like Mystery Science Theater 3000, but way funnier, and it's R-rated, and it's done by, it's so funny. Oh my God. And so I'm thinking about moving it from Friday nights to Sunday nights, and like, what's going to flow better? Should I put Gorecast with the Irish guys in front of it or after? And son of a gun, you goddamn computer. Don't you shut off my light, you motherfucker. So it is important. And that's the magic of casting. Back in the 80s, the magic of NBC was Brandon Tartikoff, and he had the Thursday night lineup. And they tried to figure out their comedy lineup so the shows would flow. Seinfeld would flow into this, or Cosby Show would flow into that. And that's very much what I do at American Horrors, where I'll be like, I can't play 3 old black and white movies in a row. It's too much. And I watch the network and I read my comic books. That's a thing. Like, one of the great joys for me has been to go back and reread the Dahmer books as I've been mastering them. They're all on the computer. I got them all scanned in. I've been working on the book. I've been working on the Buildable Omnibus. So it's been really amazing to go back and have, like, I haven't read this shit in 20 years. And to sit there and go through and go, wow, this is good. Wow, this still holds up. Because as a reader, I'm hard on myself. I'm like, that sucked, dude. That drawing sucked. That commercial sucked. You were so drunk when you were on Gorecast. That was embarrassing, Hart. I'm really hard on myself. I'm a terrible critic on myself.
I am very similar, where right now I'm cutting up a lot of interviews, and I'm going back maybe 4 or 5 months ago. And I'm like, man, I hit that question really hard. Man, I did not hit that well. And so now I'm becoming a student of my own game. And I think it's very, very interesting when you start becoming a student of your own game. And I don't like listening to myself. I don't enjoy going back. Because
I've got a funny story about that.
The reason why
you
is
don't like
that
to hear the sound of your own voice.
What'd you say?
You don't like to hear the sound of your own voice?
It's not even that. I don't like to hear the sound of my content because I'm very hard on myself and I'm very mean to myself and I don't treat myself well, to be very honest, because I'm like, man, I did not do a good job. I have maybe 1 or 2 interviews a year that I'm like, man, I nailed it. And everything else, I don't think it sucks, but I'm like, okay, this was good. It wasn't great. And then I come back after a bunch of interviews and then I'm like, man, I didn't do my job correctly. And it's not like, I'm going to be homeless if I fail at this interview, but I'm very tough on myself. And it's so when I'm editing this up or I'm finding even micro content, I'm like, okay, I hit this good. I hit this good. If we took this and put it down into 5 minutes, it would be a fantastic interview. Or we put it into 15 minutes, it would be fantastic, but then it wouldn't make any sense. And so it's very interesting when I hear somebody else and they're like, I'm a tough critic on myself too, because I feel like I'm the only one, to be very honest.
Mm.
But yeah, anyway, you can tell your story. I'm sure your story is going to be a lot more entertaining than mine.
No, what you're saying is very valid, and that's a lot of creators, a lot of folks are that way. And so I've got this. Okay, so if you don't recognize the backdrop, it's because the internet went out at my house here in Lake Geneva. For the folks at home who might not have heard the story, so our live broadcast got delayed because I had to jump in the car and drive over to my girlfriend's house. So I'm in my girlfriend's living room shooting this interview, and well, we have a very happy sex life, sexually active. So she and I'll call her up and be like, hey, baby, you're coming over tonight. And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, what do you want to fuck to? What movie should we fuck to? So we'll put on like Devil's Plaything. Devil's Plaything in my hand. Danzig song, sorry. So I'll put on something that's sexy because I'm in charge, and that's one of the fucking benefits of being in charge of your own fucking TV channel. So you can schedule a fucking movie to have some sex to while you're on your couch or whatever. And I found out the soft way when we're in the middle of something and an interview came up with me, and it's me yammering away, and I found out the sound of my own voice is saltpeter. total erection murder. Is that a bad critic? Is that a bad thing?
It's terrible. That's just I have no words. I have no words. And then, but that I can imagine. Knowing me, when I create my own podcast network.
Well, what do you mean? You don't like have you and your girlfriend, like she's not like blowing you when you're playing your podcast or nothing?
No, not at all. Just she is.
I was happy. I felt like I was like, okay, I am not the Christian Bale character in American Psycho when he's with the hookers and he's having sex with them. He's only looking at himself in the mirror and doing muscle poses. I'm like, thank God that isn't me. That isn't me. Just no, too much me. I don't want to see myself in the. No, is that me in the mirror? No, I don't want to see myself in the mirror.
That's something else. Is all I'm going to say. I have no professional comment. It's the official response from me. Is all I'm going to say.
Well, it happened too when I worked in adult films. When I was working in adult in the late '90s and the early.
I do have a sponsor for you though. Blue pill gum thing.
Oh yeah, no.
If there's ever a sponsor for this show,
So you have a blue pill sponsor for the show? You should. Well, when I worked in adult, what I found out was, okay, we all kind of like porn, but once I got to know,
you do?
Yeah, I like porn. Once I got to know the different dudes in porn, like I could no longer spank the monkey if I knew the guy in the porn. Oh shit, that's Randy West. I'm out. Oh, it's Herschel. Oh, I'm out. Hey, there's Alex Hitt. I'm out. Hey, it's Tom Byer. Oh, fuck, I'm out.
Wow, that's interesting. That's interesting.
Well, they're people you know. And part of adult and part of it is that the fantasy, like, okay, like a lot of the POV adult films are big because you're fantasizing that it's you and that girl is working your joint, you know, and that's the point of the POV stuff or the gonzo stuff is it's easy for you to project yourself into the story. And I feel that that's no different than comics because in the comic book, you're inserting yourself into the storyline. There's characters that you relate to. There's characters that you hate. There's characters that may remind you of people in your life that you want to see punished. You know, I went through a period of my life where some very dirty things had happened to me, and some very close people in my life had stabbed me in the back when my wife was going through cancer. And my wife really got hooked on revenge shows, revenge movies, you know, because we weren't able to get back at the people that had harmed her and harmed her healthcare and harmed myself. So those kinds of things, one thing led to another, you know, and I don't want to. I mean, there's a big thing about Terrifier right now, this horror film Terrifier with this clown character, and I tried to watch it, but I was just bored. I'm like, I just don't. I'm not just going to sit there and watch people.
I don't know this one, so I'm not a big, you know, horror.
Well, you said you're not a big horror fan.
But I don't know anything about this. I mean, I know certain things. I mean, I just saw Nope, but that's not really horror. I feel
Like I'm not a fan of Saw. I like the first film. I like the second film because they're interesting mysteries. But then it becomes just how can we torture this person in a chair? I like the first Hostel film, but then after that it becomes how can we top the torture scenes? And it's the same with The Exorcist. The Exorcist is a brilliant film, but in the sequels, how can we do better puke effects? How can we turn her head around? And they miss the humanity of the story. They miss all of the things that made The Exorcist great.
There's a very interesting statement by Andrew Clavin, and he was talking about this where you start off with a brilliant concept where, you know, some guy is chasing after a girl in the woods and she's outsmarting and she might lose, but she's putting up a fight. And then it slowly starts going downhill, and it slowly starts going down into the point where, okay, we just want to stay around 90 times. And that's kind of where I feel like I lose something, where if something is suspenseful, I will give it a shot. I'll tolerate it. But like when it gets to a point where we lost 7, and now it's just about how do we bear traps while exploding on people's heads. Now we've lost the position of it's not suspenseful, or there's not much of a story, or it's not a choice. I mean, what was it, Saw 2? Hey, you can do whatever you want. It's a free country. My show is uncensored, so.
Well, you know, that's the fun part about shooting with this camera on this little tripod is I can get up and walk around. And my beautiful lady is in the shower, so I have to get up and make my own beverage.
I think my girlfriend would smack me if I asked her for something right now. So
why?
She's asleep, and I think she would.
Well, if she's asleep, duh. Come on, man, don't be a dick. What are you gonna go, bitch? Get up, make me a sandwich. It doesn't work that way, bro.
Clearly, I've learned that one the hard way.
Well, I haven't done the bitch get up and make me a sandwich thing. You know, wipe the cum off your mouth and make me a sandwich. I haven't done that, but I have been like, hey, baby, I'm going to be on the internet for a little bit. You think you could make me a ham sandwich? Sure. But then, honestly, dude, in my relationship, I make all the dinners. I cook. And I like cooking for my woman. And my friends, too. I really enjoy it.
So I like cooking meat. I like cooking hamburgers. I like cooking steaks. I like cooking eggs. She'll make pasta because I will burn pasta. We've come to the conclusion. How do you
burn pasta, dude?
Believe me, I will find a way. I will find a way, and I have. So we also, I am terrified to take things out of an oven. So she does that. I'll help, but she'll do that because I burned my hand really badly once. So like if we're baking together, she'll take it out.
What
She's
do you mean?
better
Like,
at
did you
that.
burn your hand on boiling water, or did you grab a pot in the oven? How'd you burn your hand?
So we were like doing brownies and ziti, and it didn't exactly work out. In which like I didn't like set my hand on fire, but she'll do it. And also I have a hard
Well,
time
did the
standing.
slump, did like the ziti slurp out over the tray onto your hand and burn you, or what happened?
Basically, I was grabbing it with a
I'm not letting you go till I find out how you burned your
I'm telling
testicles
the
with the hot
story. Will you let me
ziti.
tell the story? So I was using a towel and the towel started slipping, and then you grab like the nice glass plate, and then you're like, motherfucker. And so that's what happened. And also I have a hard time standing, and so it's just easier. She'll grab it out of the oven. But that's that. But I digress. We have an arrangement and it works. Where she will not touch the grill, and I am perfectly fine with that. And I'm good at cooking other things, but pasta and taking things out of the oven is her domain. It's her oven. It's my stove. We have an arrangement. It's
This is
absolutely
Hank, by the way.
wonderful.
Little man
But
here is Hank.
what would you say?
This is Hank. This is Abby's little man, Hank. He's a nice kitty cat. I don't know. Abby just didn't, there's a lot of people, it depends on how you grew up. Like, she just didn't grow up cooking. Where she grew up, frankly, she dealt with a lot of alcoholism in her life. And so I'm the cook. Not her. She's not an alkie, but like growing up as a kid, there was stuff in her life and where she grew up. So she never really cooked. She just didn't grow up cooking. And that's a lot of people in the modern age. I've met people that come to my house who are like, what do you mean you don't have a microwave? And I'm like, yeah, they're death machines. I don't have a fucking microwave. How do you eat? Have you ever peeled a fucking potato, asshole? Do you know how to cook green beans? Do you know how to make fucking corn on the cob? How many different ways do you know how to make corn on the cob? You don't just boil it. You could fucking take it and leave it in the thing and grill it. You know what I mean? You could wrap it up in foil and cook it in the oven. There's a lot of ways to cook stuff. So I love cooking. I'm a really passionate guy. And when I get involved in something, if I'm going to make food, I want it to taste great. If I'm going to do a comic book, I'm writing the comic for me to read. That's the number one thing. When I do my work, I'm writing for myself, unless I'm hired. Like if I'm hired to do a job and it's a professional job, I'm going to ask my customer, what do you want from me in this? Like when I co-wrote A Taste of Cherry for Danzig in Veronica #4, I asked Glenn, what do you want? Do you want the ball peen hammer? Do you want the 12-pound sledge? What do you want me to do? And Glenn's like, I want the 12-pound sledge. So, of course, the story behind that book is now banned in Oklahoma as obscene material to this day. And Glenn won't go near that.
Isn't that a victory, though? Isn't that a victory in a lot of ways?
It is. It is. My work has been banned, burned, and blacklisted. And I think one of the most important reasons for everybody out there to contribute to the Indiegogo campaign, when we did the second printing, the second largest distributor in the country, Capital City Distribution in Milwaukee, burned over 1,000 copies of my book. My books have been burned, ladies and gentlemen, for real. So what I would say is, if you're going to support any fucking campaign, if you believe in free speech, if you're a fan of true crime, this is the most talked about comic in comics history. Over the last 30 years, this book has been talked about. Why don't you tell me what other comic book publisher in America has had a protest march on their house?
There's only one other book that is even close. Mouse. That's
Mouse?
it. Mouse.
He did not have a protest march on his house.
Fair enough.
He did not have his house robbed.
I'm challenging you slightly. And the reason why I'm challenging you is that Mouse is the second one that is just as prevalent. Yours is the most.
No, it's a new thing. This is a new thing that's happened with the woke and modern censorship. Mouse was always celebrated. The Dahmer book was never celebrated. Mouse is not controversial. It is a political football that somebody is using to elevate themselves to get attention. It isn't anywhere near on the scale of the Dahmer book. They did not have the police come to that creator's house and ask him to leave fucking town. He has not been on multiple talk shows being treated like a piece of shit. That man has not gone through what I went through. Because a couple fucking libraries don't want to carry it, because a couple fucking schools don't want to carry it, all of a sudden that's fucking controversial? No, it's bullshit. It's just another school on a curriculum. Why don't you tell me how many copies of Mouse have been burned?
Fair enough. Fair enough.
No. It's fine. We're having a discussion. I know I get loud and it's all good. And you go ahead, poke the bear. I'm on your show, so you could poke the bear. We could make some good TV here. So poke the bear. But honestly, Mouse is not on the same level. And I'm going to go there. I really shouldn't, but I really like what Ed Piskor is doing with Red Room. So there's this creator doing a black and white book.
Yeah. I know this
graphics, and I'm a fan. And
so Hart, before we continue, do you want to give a little background on that, just so everybody is aware of that book? Because
what Red Room is?
Correct me if I'm wrong, and I might be mistaken, but that's the one where there was like a cover, and then the cover was canceled, and then the cover was brought back, right? Or am I thinking of a different one?
No, you're thinking of the exact right one. Ed and Jim have been instrumental in a revival. Okay, I was always unhappy that I felt the outlaw age of comics and the black and white independent boom of the late 80s and early 90s, I always felt it got swept under the rug. I always felt that the creators were maligned, and I always felt that Faust never got its due. I felt that Stephen Bissett's Taboo didn't get its due. I felt that Gore Shriek did not get its due from the day. And these are all old black.
I'll throw a book out that you may or may not know. I think Bang Tango did not get a fair play.
I don't know that book.
Joe Kelly, Adrian Sabar. Really cool book. Really cool book. One of my favorite books of all time. It's a weird one. It's a weird one. And you have a mafia. You have a guy who fled the mafia, who fucked up a hit, who was involved with a transgender girlfriend. And then she's like playing everybody.
Almost sounds like the movie with Bob Hoskins, Mona Lisa.
It's a really cool book.
Or Mona Lisa Smile.
And Adrian Sabar is a world famous painter. So
no, I know his work. He's good.
Oh, he's fucking fantastic. I got to do a written interview with him a while back. And I mean, I'm a little biased on this, but it's one of my favorite books of all time. And nobody knows it. And I'm like, this is brilliant. And it's just so, there's a few scenes in it where they're dancing together and the music sheet is wrapped around them as they're dancing and all the panels. And it's just a really cool concept. And I haven't seen it in another book. Now, I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I haven't seen it, but I love the concept. I do not think it got its fair play in comics. But this was maybe early 2000s. So maybe it's not in the same era, but it's around it, maybe. And I'm being generous, but continue. Sorry.
It's okay. I wanted to hear what you had to say. The thing about Jim Rugg and Ed Piskor, I might be Piskor. Is that how you spell his last name? It might be. So Ed and Jim have been doing cartoonist kayfabe, and they do their show, and they did a big thing, and they've really gotten involved in the idea of outlaw comics, and they want to emulate that, and they're interested in it, as is Ethan Van Sciver. You know, Ethan is interested in the idea of outlaw comics, and he feels that Comicsgate has kind of put him in that position. And Jim and Ed were doing this comic book called, well, not Jim, but Ed is, and it's called Red Room. And it's all about online internet torture porn. And so it's all about torture porn. And it's big. It's a thing. And it's black and white. His art's really good. Ed's a really good artist. And so is Jim. Jim's an amazing comic book artist. He does this comic called Street Angel that's great. About this skate punk chick, like samurai chick almost. And so Jim's an amazing artist that can do a lot of styles. And Red Room wants to be an outlaw comic. They want that mantle. But at the same time, it's a difficult mantle to wear because you don't fucking apologize. You don't fucking say you're sorry when you hit the mark. When you offend somebody and you fucking nail them and you get a reaction out of them, you never fucking apologize because you did your work as an artist. And the only criticism I got for him is that Jim did a variant cover for Red Room, and it was a reference to Mouse, and some people got upset. Oh no, some people got upset. And so Jim pulled the cover and they apologized. Guys, that's not Outlaw Comics. Outlaw Comics don't work that way. If you hurt the audience, you never say you're sorry because you're trying to do something that hurts them. That's the idea of writing real horror. You need to affect your reader.
The
and the
only
criticism I have for Ed as a creator is, Ed, you're not leaving an emotional mark. You're doing torture porn, but there's no emotion to it. You need to leave an emotional scar, to leave that lingering damage in somebody's head, which is what I did with A Taste of Cherry and Veronica 4. It's a boogeyman story that haunts people. And if you want to be an outlaw, you got to leave scars, and you cannot apologize because somebody didn't like your book. Oh no, I didn't like that book. You can't. Then you're not outlaw no more.
And
now
also,
you're an
you know what
apologist.
it is, and this is just my take, and I don't mean to beat up on somebody, and I'm sure I'm
No,
going
go
to get
ahead.
shit for it, but I think people respect when people don't apologize, whether they like it or not. You cannot like something, but I've given people honest, brutal truths about things, and they didn't like what I said, and they were my friends. Like, my friend's running a business and it's not doing good, and I was giving him real truth about it, but he respected what I was saying. He didn't like what I was saying. There's a difference between those two things. So you can.
That's huge right there. That's a really big one, man. That's a big one. Is you don't have to agree with somebody to respect them.
So somebody was not criticizing me, but pointing out flaws in my show. And I can't say who, because I don't know if I'm authorized and I don't want to get them in trouble. But the idea is that they respected me. And they were doing it in a nice way. They were saying, hey, we can make improvements here, we could tweak this. So they weren't demolishing. They were being constructive versus deconstructive. But when I was saying to my friend who runs a pipe business or trying to start one, I was being constructive, but I was giving him the honest truth. And he respected what I was saying. But I also wasn't saying, you're a failure in business, how dare you enter business? Because that wouldn't have gotten anywhere either. So if somebody pulled a cover, I can understand that. I can understand why they would want to do it, but I can also say, I don't think.
No. If you're going to be outlaw, if you're going to parade yourself as a fucking outlaw, if you're going to present yourself and present yourself, and you want to offend people and you want to make a mark, when you finally make the fucking mark, you're in the ring and you knock that dude out and you hit him really hard and you're like, oh man, I'm sorry. I didn't really mean to knock you out like that. Oh, did my liver punch hurt you? Oh, I didn't mean that, man. I wasn't really going to gut punch you.
Yes.
Fuck that.
I'll give a better example of what I mean by this. So there was a Powerpuff Girl cover by IDW that was way too suggestive. That cover.
Would it have camel toe?
What'd you say?
Did it have camel toe?
No. It was a little bit, it was more of a mature thing, and the Powerpuff IDW book is more of a kid's book. It's more of like a 13-year-old book, and that book should have been 21 older, that cover. It was inappropriate for the audience. That's when covers completely is when a book's cover is inappropriate for its target audience. So if you had the nude Powerpuff Girls being put out by IDW, that cover probably should be pulled, because that's a bad idea collectively. But
I'm going to agree with you, because I understand this 100%, because, okay, I'm an outlaw publisher. Does that mean I was running around selling my comic books to children? Fuck no. I was a responsible creator, and if I looked at somebody I didn't know, if I thought they were underage, I carded them. I was a bouncer. I would card people at shows because I knew that there are certain markets, like, I'm not going to put Max Hardcore on a fucking Lucky Tricks box to sell to kids. Max Hardcore is a porn guy. It's some crazy. He does some fucked up shit with speculums and stuff and piss play, and so you're not going to put that guy on the cover of Lucky Charms.
I mean, I'm very honest about this. So, I'm a big Zenoscope seller on eBay. I don't sell their X-rated / Z covers. For 2 reasons. They're $100, and I don't find the return to be that great on them. And then secondly, eBay sometimes, gives, I guess, stores a
eBay's
hard
really
time.
weird with sex stuff. I was working with a filmmaker named Tim Sullivan, and Tim was the producer on. Have you ever seen the movie Detroit Rock City, where the kids are going to go to the Kiss concert and the mom's trying to stop them?
I don't think I've seen this movie. I probably
It's
should.
really funny. It's called Detroit Rock City. It's a great funny movie. And so Tim produced that, and Tim produced a bunch of horror films. And so he's a gay filmmaker. So he's a homosexual filmmaker, and he did this short as part of Chillerama. It was a whole anthology, and it was called, I believe, Chillerama. And his short was called Curse of the Queer Bear. It was about a gay werewolf in a high school. And so the music for this is all 50s doo-wop songs, but they're done from the perspective of a homosexual. It's awesome. Tim did a great job. The short is fantastic. It's so good. The music is great. But eBay refused to sell the soundtrack outside of the gay porn section. It's a soundtrack. There's no sex in this.
So
it's
my
doo-wop 50s music with gay themes. And it's not even explicit, like, I'm going to put my cock in your asshole. It's not explicit at all. So me and Tim, we did a segment on American Horrors calling eBay out on their discriminatory policies and how they were being discriminatory. And so that's part of why you don't see me active on eBay. I don't like how eBay does their business.
So my whole thing is that it's not anything with that. I'm running a business, and I'm running a good one. And I'm not going to go and jeopardize my business on something that is going to get me a not great rate of return. If I can sell the regular version of that book and it's cheaper and I can get a better rate of return on it pound for pound, why would I want to put myself into a higher risk situation? And
that's why American Horrors is free. Dude, that's why American Horrors is free to watch. We started as an HBO pay service, but it wasn't satisfying to me, and it wasn't satisfying to my consumer. And I wanted the biggest audience I could possibly get to entertain people. And I felt that I would make my money off of advertising revenues. And that's what I do. I get that off of that.
I can't make selling my comics free. So, but this show is free, and this show will always be free because it's just, and again, I'm an advertiser. People throw me money sometimes. People want, to be nice to me. People are polite to me, and people send me free shit all the time. So you know what it is, and I make my money in other things, and it's not expensive to run this in the scheme of things. Mm-hmm. Every year, it's less than $600 to run this entire show with all social media and a variety of other stuff I need. But the point is that I've just made a determination as a business that less struggle and making just as much money. Why would I take a harder path? And I don't think it jeopardizes my freedom of speech. I don't think it compromises my moral compass, because I don't want to spend $100 for a book versus 20, and that $100 book only gets me $180 versus the $20 book gets me $60. So I could buy 3.
You can say that about this campaign for the Dahmer stuff, because the Dahmer stuff's been out of print for almost 30 years, and you're going to contribute to the campaign and be rewarded with a book. I got to make sure my legal language is correct. So you're going to contribute to the campaign, and you're going to get this trade paperback that has already been talked about for 30 fucking years. This trade paper, these books have never been collected together before, and I made them affordable, so this thing is going to rise in value. You fucking know it is. It's not going to have a 10,000 print run.
So I'm not buying it to make money. I just want to read it. Like, I really just want to read it.
You mean the Dahmer books?
Yeah, I really want to read them, and I want them. And I mean, no offense to your book, but it's pricey, and I can't afford it at the moment
Oh, you're
especially.
saying the original one from 1992 and 93, not the collective.
Yeah. I'm backer number 7, in case anybody didn't know. I backed it because I'm like, yo, if you're coming on my show, I should probably back it. Plus, I want to read it. I didn't back it because it was not a under the table bribe. I would never do a thing like that.
I didn't even know you backed it, so how could it be a bribe?
No. I saw it. I saw it.
I'm too good to come on your show, Andrew. You got to contribute to my campaign.
I believe it always helps if I want to guess. If I'm like, yo, I backed your campaign, can I interview you?
I do the same thing. Like, okay, when I would travel and I'd be doing comic conventions or doing shoots around the country, whenever I went to a comic book store to try to talk to them about Boneyard Press, the first thing I did was I'd go through and find some stuff I wanted to buy. So I would buy some stuff from the store, then I would talk to them about perhaps purchasing some Boneyard product. Does that make sense?
Yeah. But I didn't back your thing because I actually want to read this. I saw it. I don't know how it came across my desk. It might have been Pops actually who came across my desk, and I was like, oh snap! I guess I'm gonna back it. And then it took me a day or two because I'm not exactly comfortable with Indiegogo. To be honest, I'm a little unfamiliar with Indiegogo as a platform, but because
I'm going to say Max and everybody all wanted me to do Kickstarter first. And Max, here's a great quote from Max. He's at my house. He's in the loft. We're working on a computer problem. And here's a quote. Well, maybe if we listen to me sometimes, we wouldn't be going through this fucking shit. So sometimes I can be a bit of a contrarian. So Max is part of the team and gives me advice. Does that mean I follow the advice? Not always.
Hey, I made a lot of money as a contrarian investor. I made a lot of money.
I felt that Kickstarter was perfect for the Dahmer book because I was going to be doing the Babylon Crush was going to be next. Like, okay, I've had a lot of personal issues affect my ability to get the buildable omnibus done. It's a 334-page project. A lot of the artwork was fucked up. And so we've had a lot of behind-the-scenes drama that's delayed the release of the book. And frankly, I refuse to release a crappy product. I need to make sure that the book is something that I would put my money down for. So if anybody's upset with me about it being released, 3 different floods, $5,000 worth of flood damage not covered by insurance. The guy hired to master the book did a crap job. I had to move.
So I'm going to counter you. I'm going to counter you with a bigger horror story than yours, right? So I backed a book. You know, it was a cyberpunk book. Super stoked for it. Graphic novel raised $9,000.
I like cyberpunk.
So 9,000 on 8,000 is not good, right? If you have an $8,000 campaign and you raise 9,000 for a 5-issue graphic novel, it's going to be tight. I think it's a fair assessment. So now he says the book's going to maybe.
It depends on how many copies you have to print. It depends on what you had to pay your creative crew. I'm going to say no.
I think he was hoping it was going to be bigger, and I think it's tight with this creator. I really do. So now here's what happened. So he has a year to do it, right? So now we back it in May. Next May comes around. No word. No updates all year long.
Did he disappear? Did he not talk to people at all?
No. It gets better. This gets much better. So now I said, dude, what the fuck's going on with your book? Privately to him, because I was getting pissed because I want to read the motherfucker, right? Mm-hmm. So now this is where I'm getting annoyed. So then after we're on month 14 now because he had a year and then it's 2 months and now we're in July. I should have messaged you like, dude, what's going on with your book, man? You should probably give an update soon. And because I want to know. And he says, oh, my artist left with like half the money. So you're telling me that we're 14 months in, your artist left with half the money, you found a new artist who's only 40% done, and you're 2 months late when you had a whole year to do it. Meanwhile, this is the kicker, right? He went out and he created a book that did 20,000 for issue 1 and did 23,000 for issue 2 of a different series. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, how can I respect that person now as a creator? I can't. I have no respect for that
I'm
person.
getting criticism like that. There's people that are upset with me that I'm doing this Kickstarter for Dahmer before I've fulfilled Build-A-Bull. And what I would say to them is, that's a very valid thing to say, because honestly, I canceled this year's American Horror Film Festival to finish the Build-A-Bull Omnibus. Folks who don't know, I've been doing a yearly film fest here in Lake Geneva, Illinois, or Wisconsin, Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. I've been doing this for the last 5 fucking years. And last year we had 272 entrants. So we're in a theater. And this year I canceled the film fest to focus on launching American Horror's Classic and launching the Build-A-Bull Omnibus, getting it out there. It's been an unbelievable slog, but what I would say to people is, remember, publishing is a war. My first film, The Garbage Man, I shot it in 1993. My girlfriend was murdered in the middle of making it. It wasn't released till 2009.
So my issue here is he didn't communicate. That's my issue.
I understand that. I get it. But also I want the fans to know that I fucking feel your pain, because I want that book, man. I want that book more than you guys, more than anybody out there. I want the Build-A-Bull Omnibus. I fucking want it.
I'm not talking about your book. We're
No,
not talking about your book.
For myself, to like let people know, like you were saying about, like, I do this to make books I want to read, and as I've been mastering these books, they're so good. They're so fucking good. I can't wait for people to fucking see this, but I've been going through the trials of Job. But luckily I've been communicating to people.
See, my issue is that I don't care. So I have a friend who was in the hurricane in Florida. So if you backed his project, I can't fucking attack him. He's a nice guy, and guess what? He's dealing with his son, and he's making sure his wife's good, his girlfriend's good. I don't know if he's married, but he has a son, and and great. He has flood damage. Nothing got ruined in the book. But guess what? Maybe he's making sure his roof doesn't fall over his head. He just went through a crazy hurricane. So, and then, it took him about 4 weeks to respond, not criticizing. So I hope nobody takes it that way. But he said,
no, it's okay for you to criticize. How about this? How about everybody out there fucking buckle up your fucking panties, and it's okay to have some criticism.
Let me finish. So what he said is, he said, hey, look, I'm giving everybody like 3 choices from my library of like 20 comics I have that I'll send to you digitally. Great. I never attacked him. So he's a month late. I don't give a fuck. You think that now it would be different if it was a holiday book. And that's a little different, because if you said you were going to get it to me by Christmas and you made a promise and you scheduled it and then shit happened, people could be a little bit upset about that because they wanted it for the holidays. If you made that,
no, 110%, I agree with you. Yeah, for sure.
This book is not holidays. It's a fun book, and it was like $12 me backing. So I'm like, dude, like, you're not late to me, because late to me is 3 to 4 months. If you're late, if your push out,
I'm a year late, man. I'm a year late on this book, bro. I can't. I'm a fucking year late, man. I feel like I'm running Veronica again, and I'm fucking behind on all Danzig's books. We were a year late on half his fucking slate back in the 90s.
But look, I've gone through where, and also, like, I'm at the point right now in Kickstarter where I've been burned down about 4 or 5 projects, and I won't see those projects. And I'm like, I'm being very selective now. And these are people that I interviewed. That's what's even crazier. So I'm now recommending these projects because these are people that I trust. That's what's upsetting to me as a human.
I was okay. The Netflix special came out of nowhere for me. All right. And so my focus had been, I'm going to get Bill the Bull to print. And when I'm done with Bill, I was going to do Babylon Crush, my other comic character about a lesbian dominatrix.
Oh, man, dude, I love that.
Vigilante from Hell, which is, okay, they talk about all this stuff. I've never given credit because Boneyard Press had the very first lesbian lead character. She was an out lesbian. Her girlfriend's part of the cast. Her friends are lesbians. We were the first book where the whole cast were gay. okay? And we never got any play or any recognition or no any little woke like, oh, good job, buddy, you're fighting the fight. None of that shit. And it's based on people that I really knew. So we were going to go into Babylon next. We were finishing Bill. I canceled the film fest. I was dealing with all these crazy floods. It took, oh, God damn, it took so much more to launch the second. It took so much to launch the American Horror Classic channel. It was a nightmare. It was a technical nightmare. It cost more. It was supposed to be easy. It took 2 months longer than it was supposed to get done. My head of tech got hit with a divorce in the middle of doing this.
Yeah, I know that.
Jesus Christ. So we were dealing with some real shit. So the Bill the Bull book was what I was going to be getting done for October. And then the Netflix special hit and they shit on me. And they did the same crap where they shit on me. They shit on the book. They lied about the book. They lied about the interiors. They fucking photoshopped the covers. I'm mad as fuck. I'm fucking furious. I'm fucking so goddamn angry. It rips open all these fucking wounds. So bam, what you said, I want people to be able to read the Dahmer book so they know that these lies about me that are perpetuated by a multi-billion-dollar company are beating me up fucking again. I'm trying to make this available so people go, hey, Hart, they were lying about you. They were lying about your books. They're lying about your characters. And I felt I had to do it before it was out of the whole Twitter sphere and all that bullshit.
Let me throw something at you because
Go ahead.
I'll be very honest. Sometimes in life, opportunity strikes, right? So I'll give an example. The Mike Barron thing, to bring it back to Mike Barron. I was done with my season. And then Mike Barron gets shadow banned on Indiegogo. And I'm like, let me just hit up Mike Barron. Mike Barron's always been nice to me. He's always a nice guy.
He's a great fucking writer. How about that? He's a great fucking writer. I'll accept if you're a dick if you deliver a good book.
Let me explain my position. He's been nice to me. He hasn't treated me mean. He hasn't disrespected me. And so, you know what it is? I said, look, you're getting fucked. I've been fucked before. So, you know what it is? Let me see. Let's try to help you out, right? And so now, you know what it is? I said, cool, let's throw this out there. And then I made a commitment saying I'm not going to interview any other comic people. Well, I broke that commitment because somebody from Zoop, who did a Zoop project, wanted to come on and we spoke about that. And then you're Hart Fisher. But I'm not really taking many more comic people this year. I think I'm done with comic people after you, I think. For the most part, I'm taking some voice actors. And what?
Why?
Just my sister's coming with my niece, and I want to play with my niece. And then also, nothing against you guys. She's so cute. She's so cute. I met her over Thanksgiving. Right, nothing against any of you guys, but like, if I could play with my niece at 7 o'clock or interview people, I would rather play with my niece.
Right now, like I'm doing this show, like I don't have a niece, but I've got a really hot blonde girlfriend, and I could be playing with some D cups right now, but I'm here trying to sell the Dahmer fucking book.
You know I'm going to share this out and push this thing over the finish line.
Bullshit of Netflix.
But also, I'm just exhausted from comic people overall. I feel like a lot of them in the last maybe like 10, like 3 of them were great and 7 of them weren't, and I feel like they didn't give a fuck.
Are you exhausted by like? Are you burned out because their comics sucked, or are you burned out because of their attitude or what they bring to your show?
What I was burned out by is that they just didn't give a fuck to be there. Like I felt like they viewed it more like a chore than anything else.
You mean this interview?
Yeah, like they viewed it as a chore and they weren't excited. They didn't give a fuck. Like
I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to like talk to you. I'm happy to talk about comics and life, and I'm happy to be here. I otherwise I wouldn't.
I felt so.
I'd be banging my girlfriend right now, or making her dinner, and then banging.
Let me explain. I felt so
or something, or eating pussy, something like that. I'd be doing that instead of this, because tonight is like, okay, in my life, certain nights my girl comes over and hangs out with me and we do our thing. And tonight is one of them. So she's giving up her lion time. She's giving up her lion time for me to do this. And it's even worse. I'm in her apartment here because my internet went out because of the rain. So it's a triple cock tease. But she knows I'll take care of her. Abby, you know I'm going to take care of you, right? Yeah, okay. Giggles. We're good. We're good.
The point is that, like, I felt so shitty after I did those interviews. And if I feel shitty and it's my fucking show, we got a problem. But then I like that's why I rejected like 3 or 4 people. And then I had a whole week where I was interviewing wrestlers and I interviewed one voice actor. I felt so amazing after.
Dude, have you seen the show Tales from the Territory on Vice or Dark Side of the Ring?
Oh yeah, I love Dark Side of the Ring. The Plane Ride from Hell.
It's so awesome.
Great. Yeah, but like I felt so fucking shitty after like those comic people, and then I interviewed 4
like
wrestlers.
You needed a bath?
What did you say?
Did you feel dirty? Did you need a shower?
No, I needed like a bunch of whiskey and then a bunch of other stuff, but that's not the point here. Anyway, the point is that I interviewed a bunch of wrestlers and I interviewed a bunch of voice actors, and I'm like, I feel fucking good after these interviews. So why the fuck do I want to interview a bunch of people who don't give a shit? Like, I don't know how to explain that to somebody. It sounds so mean when I say it, but like,
it's true. You could feel the hollowness. Okay, for the people at home who don't understand. Andrew, how many shows have you done? Like, how many shows have you got under your belt right now for this show? How many episodes have you done?
Collectively, for between my 2 shows that are fusing into one, about 600.
Okay, like for my radio show, I had 125 hour-long podcast episodes. For Heart Attack on the What the Fuck show, we had 220. For doing American Horrors, I've done at least 200 man on the street interviews. Hey, we're here at this film festival talking to so-and-so.
I'll throw a number out there. This is my 130th or 131st interview for the year.
What I mean is you develop and you start to figure out who's full of shit, and you start to figure out who's phoning in the interview, and you're putting your time into this, and this is important to you. This interview is important to me, and I think people at home can tell. That's why I run riot over almost everybody I'm on a show with, because this is everything to me. This is everything to me. Sorry, got a little excited there. I'm physical. I'm a big fella. Sorry about that.
It's also like I mean, I was reaching out to somebody who was pretty big, and they're coming on this Saturday, and she's like, "Yeah, here's my number. Text me the date and everything. Give me all the information." And it's because I have a reputation in certain areas that people will happily give that to me, and I'm like, I get excited with that. And then there's wrestlers who are like, "Yeah, man, I'm happy to be on your show anytime." And there are people that I interact with, and in the wrestling community, especially on the indies, a lot of wrestlers are more than happy to interact with you. They interact with me on Twitter all the time. And so, you know, that's how I feel, is that like, I feel like a lot of people just wanted to use me. And then there was other shit going on. And then it's very complicated, but I feel like my show was being disrespected.
I've heard this. Okay, I've heard this from some of my advisors, and they're like, "Hart, why did you go on that show? There's nobody following that show. There's nobody following that show." And I'm like, I like that guy. I want to talk to that guy. We're going to have a great conversation, and it doesn't matter. Okay, I have a philosophy as a martial artist and as a leader. It isn't about how many followers you have. It's how many leaders you influence. And that's my mantra, and it's who I am. I'm about influence. And this interview is going to reach the right person. There's going to be somebody out there right now who's going to hear this and go, fuck, I needed to hear this. I needed to hear this message from this guy because I've been beaten down. I've been fucked with. And they're good. I'm a spiritual person, and I believe that one is more important than 1,000.
So I was on a show, and this is similar, where they took a chance on me. And after the show, they said, "Man, that was a really, really good interview. We did not expect it." and I played right into their frame, and I gave some serious information, and they were giving me real high praise. And I've shared out that interview and scheduled that interview. It's going to be shared out about, I think, like 200 times this year, almost every week. And I tell people, like, this is the key to getting rich. What I'm doing, it will make you very wealthy. And these people are like, you realize how much money you're going to be worth? And I'm like, I kind of have an idea. And then they threw out a number. I said, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. And like, these people did not expect that interview to go that way. And they're like, you showed up, you came with props, and you could tell, like, within like 3 minutes, they were like, man, we made a good call. And I realized that I'm not interested. If I reach 5 people, I'm promoting a small little business that I have, but I didn't even promote my business for the most part. I had like one social media queue, but I didn't care. I didn't care because I knew somebody's going to benefit from this, and I'm going to change the trajectory of somebody's life. When they listen to this, it's going to be like, something's going to click in their head, and I'm going to push somebody.
That's a big one right there, to understand the influence you have. Like I all right, it's a private thing of mine. In my private life, I deal with a lot of at-risk kids. I've been there. I wouldn't call it a big brother program, but I've been there for a lot of people that needed a big brother in their corner. And that to me was so important, and it was so rewarding to be able to come into a kid's life whose dad's in jail for murder, and he's being picked on in his high school, and you get in his corner and you change his fucking life. That's heavy, and that's part of my armor, and it's part of why it's difficult to engage me in battle, because I have things behind me and driving me that are far beyond the dollar or the notoriety you think I'm looking for. I'm driven by different things, and I am driven. I am absolutely driven. My friends all know this about me. The people in my private life know that I am absolutely driven. And I see a wealth in people, and I see a wealth in relationships. And like, achieving financial resources is about being able to do more stuff. That's what money is to me. Money is just a avenue to get to where I want to go. It's not really the important thing. I grew up poor on the south side of Chicago. I grew up drinking powdered milk. I grew up wearing my winter coat in the house because we couldn't turn the heat up. I grew up in a different venue than a lot of, actually, maybe a lot of people have grown up on this right now.
I'll be very honest. I have not grown up that way. I've grown up middle class. But my father, he's an attorney in his own.
I thought I was middle class till I went to college.
So I understand what it means to sacrifice. I understand what my father means to sacrifice. I also understand what it means to suffer and get it, and give his parents gave him a better life, and they grew up relatively poor. They did not own their condo or anything like that until they retired and moved down to Florida. And when I went down to Florida, it was very different, where they had a different mentality. And so this is something that I'm well aware of in that regard. And so I understand, but I also understand what it means to sacrifice tremendously. So I completely get it.
I mean, I'm not okay. I put all my money into my projects. And one of the problems I had at Boneyard Press was, after my girlfriend's murder, I hated myself. I despised myself. And I did a lot of stuff to destroy my own success. And I didn't care about myself. So I took every bit of money I made at Boneyard and threw it right back in, with no consideration for, how do I eat this week? How do I pay my rent? I was so driven to do these books. It's hard to explain to people outside. Like, I was utterly driven and had no respect for myself and starved. And now, especially after I got married, once I got married and I had this beautiful person that I loved, it changed my perspective. and it changed my idea of who I was and what I was about. And I could no longer pursue my business that way because I put everything back into the business. Everything went back into the publishing and making more books and advertising books. And that's why sometimes I'm kind of offended by some of the criticism. Like, you have no idea. I fucking lived on bagels and cream cheese I got from my buddy who worked at Lock, Stock, and Smoke and Bagel in Champaign, Illinois, who gave me
I completely
when the manager left.
I haven't been. Let me tell you the last vacation I went on. Last vacation I went on was to a libertarian event that was paid for and free, and it was great. I spent a week up in Bryn Mawr, and I got free food, and it was like a college semester without any tests for a whole week fit in. It was great. So much cool stuff, so much beer. I drank like almost like 50 beers that week. It was insane. It's my second regret in life, but it's a girl. I'm not going there. Going there was great. I should have married the girl I was hanging out with every night. But anyway, that's not the point. It's terrible.
Yeah, I don't think your girlfriend wants to hear that one while she's sleeping in bed on the playback, buddy.
Sure.
Hey, I need another whiskey. On that note, help me out. You're out of the shower. Help me. I want to let Andrew keep hanging himself. Keep hanging yourself with your current girlfriend, Andrew.
It's all right. It's all right. She won. She's winning in life anyway. It's all right.
Keep hanging, Andrew. Keep telling me how you should have married her.
It's all right. It's all right. The point is that, but I haven't gone on vacation since because all my money has gone into building my eBay business. And so I see people go into things, and this is what I care about. And I finally got it to the point where I'm taking a nice big distribution. I take a nice big distribution every year, but it has taken me 10 years to get here. And so I get it. I understand complete sacrifice, and I understand what that means. Most people, I think, do not understand what sacrifice means and what it means to forego something for something else greater. And it is so important that people need to really understand that. And I get it. I completely get it. And I'm not saying I get it to your level, but I have an inclination, I feel, because I don't want to be disrespectful, because I don't think I can understand somebody fully. But I can understand the drive and what drives you. I mean, I'm trying to build a better life for myself, and I'm working my ass off to do it every day. And so I get it. I completely get it, and then bring more shit to people.
Well, I think, okay, this is a war for me. And as I've gone forward, I've been doing this for 30 years now. I know I don't look like it, but I've been doing this for 30 years. I don't have any makeup on, by the way. Oh, am I pretty? Am I pretty? I have no makeup on. 30 years of doing this. 30 years. And over this time, I found a lot of war veterans have gravitated to my machine. I have a lot of war vets working with me. And I think that comes from the fact that I'm committed to mission in a way that the civilian population is not. And I'm able to handle discomfort to achieve the mission goal in a way that the public is not. And I think that that's why my people are so loyal. I am so lucky. I wouldn't be here now. It's not just the veterans; it's all of them. Like it's all the people that are around me. I have an amazing support network, and we all work to help each other. And our goal isn't about. I live in Lake Geneva. Okay, so in Lake Geneva, and also when I was in Hollywood, I saw a lot of lost rich people. They made their money, but they didn't know how to be happy. They made the money. They did not know what made them happy. So as I've had my time here over the last 7 years in Lake Geneva, it's a resort town. It's a billion-dollar town. Huge. There is so much money here, and most of it's from Chicago. And so when I'm dealing with these folks, I'm looking at them, and I'm like, you could outspend me in a fucking heartbeat, but you don't have a fucking TV channel. You don't have what it takes to have a fucking TV channel. You think it's about money? It ain't about money. You haven't written a single comic book. You got all this money. You could publish a book. You could make a movie, but you ain't done shit. You're miserable with your boat and your Cadillac Escalade and your stupid little sticker on your license plate. You don't know how to be happy. Money isn't the thing that makes me happy. It's the work and the people around me I get to work with.
One of the most true statements that I've ever heard is that money doesn't make you happy. Money makes you more of what you already are. Money just amplifies. It's very rare that money changes a person. Now, I like to think that I'm a happy person. I have some money now, and I'm functioning well. I also, am generous. I tend to be, giving, and I like to help people out, and I like to be very generous. But the idea is that I'm more of what I am. I've always been this way. Now, I've evolved as a human, and things have changed. So obviously, if you're not evolving as a person, so money isn't the only factor where it doesn't just amplify you. As you get older, you change. Once you have kids, you change. Once you have something you want to protect, you change. Once you have a spouse, you change. Just by nature.
Or somebody you wanted to protect and they were murdered.
Yeah, I think you would change. I mean, I don't think that there's any. And again, I'm not trying to be disrespectful because I've never had that.
Would you just throw that out and just be yourself and forget qualifying your state? Because I'm from a different age and I get thrown in the ground for fun. And I have had my face split open and had blood run down my face. Nothing you say is that bad. So just be a person and just talk. Stop qualifying your statements.
Fair enough. So I'm trying not to be disrespectful because that's where I come from.
Yeah, you did it again. Just stop. Say what you got to say, brother.
I will try, okay? I will try. I really don't want Hart Fisher yelling at me tonight. But I totally forgot what I was going to say. Shit, dude.
Well, okay, so what I would say to everybody out there, stop qualifying your statements. Just state them and stop being so butthurt. We're two adult men and we're having an adult conversation and we're sharing it with everybody.
True. I agree. Yeah, no, I just totally forgot what I was going to say. So I'm fucked.
So let's watch it up. Okay, we've been talking about all this deep stuff, but really, I need you to contribute to the Dahmer campaign, the big book of Dahmer and Indiegogo. There's people trying to send me.
Now I remember. We're talking about happiness, right? Okay. We're talking about happiness, right?
Yeah.
I'm a huge anime fan, right? One of the best things that I can do is that I get to speak to voice actors that I'm watching every Saturday in a new anime that comes out.
Did you know I did voice acting for anime?
I did not know that, actually. That's fucking dope.
Yeah, you're going to want to get a movie. I think it's called Return of the Buddha, and it's made by the Happy Cult. There's a Smiley Cult in Japan, and I'm like 15 different voices in this movie.
Oh, shit. But like you brought up a really good point where all these rich people are miserable.
Yeah, they are.
And you know what it is? I mean, they could have a podcast. They could talk to their idols. I mean, I don't know how you feel.
They could make a movie. They could have their own TV channel. Okay, folks at home, it did not cost me $1 million to do American Horrors. It took a lot of elbow grease. It took a lot of networking. It took a lot of research, and it took a lot of goodwill from other professionals in the industry. I would have never been able to launch my TV channel if I did not have help from Eddie Brandt's Matinee in LA or my friend filmmaker Chris J. Miller. These people came together and enabled me without money. It's money, like people think it's all about money. It isn't. It's about your will, and it's about your brains, and it's about your relationships, your network. Your network is powerful. And that's the thing with me and Max DeVille. Me and Max, it's this relationship where me and Max come together and we could be better than we are on our own. And we can respect each other. We can argue and disagree and still move forward.
I mean, look, I ran a Kickstarter and I had somebody and we had a business agreement with each other. It was good for both of us. And then we had slight disagreements, but guess what? He respects me. I respect him. He's been on my show a few times. He's a good friend. And you know what is when he gets married, I'll be at his wedding and he'll be at mine. But you know what is we don't agree on everything. But guess what? We respect each other. There's a difference where respect
doesn't mean obedience. That's okay. My mother got caught in this. My mother once confessed to me that me and my brother were trying to express to her as adults, like, Mom, we respect you. We really respect you. But my mother felt that respect was blind obedience, and that's a mistake. That's a mistake. If you think someone is disrespecting you because they don't agree with you, maybe they respect you more by saying they don't agree with you.
I have a friend, and we have different stock positions and views on certain things, where he's more growth, I'm more dividend. And we have arguments while we're sitting in Applebee's or Chili's after he goes to the movie. And it's intense. I mean, this is intense. And the server's like, are you guys okay? And it's really funny. We're really good friends.
Brother, I've got the same experience with, there's a gentleman that's a friend of mine named Ralph. Ralph, and we hang out at the local bar in Lake Geneva that I hang out with when I take a break from work is called Fat Cats. And so Ralph is a black gentleman whose his family are a lot of cops. And so we will get into these spirited discussions, and people in the bar will see white guy getting loud with black guy, and they'll start freaking the fuck out, and they'll freak out. And me and Ralph are like, no, we're having a discussion. We're talking. It's loud, and we're going for it. Oh, we're going for it, man. But we respect each other, and that's part of the discussion. And that's why I'm upset about Netflix and their Dahmer series shutting down any discussion about my comic books. They're just trying to lead the reader into a conclusion without a discussion. They have no respect for the audience. And that's, God damn it, that's why I'm publishing the book right now, is so people can read it for themselves. Like you said, I want to read it, Hart. I don't want to collect it. And dude, that's what I want to hear, because it's a good fucking book. It's a good fucking read. And when you read Jeffrey Dahmer versus Jesus Christ, you're going to be laughing your fucking ass off.
Yeah, well, I might have just bought one on eBay, so.
Uh-oh.
So I have a problem.
Being on the air, you should have bought it from me, you jagoff. The fuck? Talking about all this stuff where you're like feeling terrible and you feel like you should fucking contribute to the guy, and you're buying this other fucking comics from these jagoffs on eBay. You could buy it from me. Hart T. Fisher. Boneyard Press, 2020.com or AmericanHorrors.net/shop.
I'm going to go track you down. I'm going to go get a CGC witness. I'm going to have one that's it's just terrible. It's just terrible. But no, I love having arguments with my friends. I love having arguments with my friends about stupid shit too. That's the best.
I would use the word spirited discussions.
Spirited discussions it is. We're going to modify it.
Because everybody's like, bar, 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 bar. You know, but that my lady over here, Abby, knows, like, that's part of my life. We all have these discussions. And how can you move forward if you don't have a little fight? Like, for me as a martial artist, how do I know my kung fu is good if I don't get into a fight? How do I know my jujitsu is going to work if I don't fight the little Chinese guy, if I don't fight the big black guy? You know what I mean? Like, as you do martial arts, as you fight your opponents, you want to fight a lot of different opponents.
I hate sparring, but what I appreciate is that there was a person at where I used to train. I don't do it anymore for
What did you train in?
I think Goju-Ryu.
Karate?
Yeah. So it's Okinawan karate.
Oh, I'm sorry. Was my wife Japanese, Abby? Oh, no. My wife was Japanese from Japan. How did I know that?
So well, one of the things is that I have a disability. I have a physical disability. So for me to properly defend myself, this sensei, who was a Kyoshi, was teaching me all this fucked up shit, how to fuck around with people that you don't use in a sparring match. But like twisting somebody's arm in a certain way and then hitting it at a certain point with a certain amount of force will save my life, is the point. There's a difference between somebody teaching you that, and the reason why he was teaching me that is because he liked me in a lot of ways. And
that was me and Gene the Bell and Go For It,
guys.
It was when I came to Gokor's Hayastan Academy. That's what it was. And Gene the Bell, he had a saying: you beat him with what the other guy doesn't know. And it's not about my style's better than your style. It's about learning. And everybody's different. When you say you were dealing with a disability, is it okay for me to ask you? Oh no, is it okay, Andrew? Can I ask you on the air about your disability?
You could ask. I mean, if I can't answer,
I'm asking.
I won't. I'll just say I can't answer. But for the most part, I can answer like 95%. There's 5% that I can't answer on that issue.
Are you like in a wheelchair?
No. So my leg
got a bone problem. My father had a very terrible disability with spine.
I'll explain. So I had a surgery that didn't go well, and so one of my feet rolls
Spinal?
over. No. It's a feet problem.
So your feet.
Yeah. So my left side's fine. My right foot didn't fuse in surgery, and then I
got
have
flat feet. I got flat feet. I had to have arch supports growing up as a kid.
So with me, I had a surgery that exacerbated the problem, and the bone didn't fuse. So I'm getting a corrective surgery, and then I have a neurological condition that just creates muscle tightness, and it sort of pulled the foot wants to go one way, and then my tendons want to go the other. And so you have conflicting problems in my foot, and so that's why I don't do that anymore. And I walk around on crutches, but I'm getting corrective surgery, and it won't solve the problem completely, but it will help the problem, if that makes sense. It'll make it right now, I'm at a score of 10%. It'll make the problem more like an 80. So I'll be 80% better, which is a hell of a lot better than 10. But
sure.
The point is that that's what I got going on my foot, is the basics. But I have a neurological condition that will affect me for the rest of my life. And I haven't exactly been taking care of that, but I'm now starting to, where I'm doing.
You have to. You really need to. Okay, one of my best friends in the '90s, one of the guys I loved the most, he didn't take care of his diabetes, and he's blind now, and he's no longer the person he was. His diabetes fucked with his brain, like his brain's rotted. He's not the same. He's such an angry person. It's kind of sad, because this was a beautiful, dynamic person, and he ignored his diabetes and took a kamikaze attitude about it. And so I would say, from myself, you seem like a cool guy. I only know you from these interviews, but look out for yourself. And
I've done a lot of growing up. In the last probably 4 years, I've done a lot of growing up. And so I've come to the conclusion that I'm in a good job right now, and I'm doing everything not to fuck up my life. And so I'm dealing with my problems as soon as I can deal with them. And it's about
one thing at a time, bro.
What'd you say?
I said one thing at a time, man.
There's a 6-month plan in place, and the plan is being followed. And so, you know what it's taken me a very long time to get here, and that's all right, because sometimes in life, when you have circumstances, you can't deal with them immediately, and you got to work through your shit to become where I'm at. And believe me, I've realized that either I'm skilled or I'm skilled and I have luck. And then with the job that I'm currently in, and I'm very honest, I was in the right time at the right place in the right circumstance with the right attitude. And it was a combination.
And also, you should know that when you're dealing with a physical disability, your body and the mind are the same. They're related, and they shape each other. I'm friends with Ronda Rousey's mother, Anne Marie DeMars. she fucked up her knee so bad. She's an Olympic judo champion. She didn't like be a champion in the Olympics, but she was part of the American Olympic judo team, and her knee was ripped out. So her knee was shattered, and she reinvented how you do jujitsu. And that's a big part of Rhonda and her arm bars, was because that came about because of the disability. And I've seen that, like I'm friends with a blind judo master, and he competes as a blind judo master. And so you'll find that your body will alter how you have to do your business or your mind. And I think you're right there. You're right there, because your body is in a position where your mind's going to have to handle this. But I kind of think it sounds like I'm not going to qualify my statement. Shut up, Hart. It's a challenge. It's a challenge, and it alters you, and it makes you unique. How you react to this problem.
I'll be very honest. Yeah, I'll be very honest. Sorry to cut you off. My disability has made me a better investor. It's made me a better person. It's made me more sympathetic. It's made me a better interviewer. And it's going to sound fucked up, but I wouldn't trade what I've gone through. And I've been through some fucked up shit. I've been through some fucked up shit in my personal life that I do not want to talk about, that isn't public in a lot of ways.
Oh, but come on. We got to get this out. No, I'm okay. I'm cool, bro. I'm cool. We talked off camera. I'm cool.
So it's a lot of things have shaped me, and I finally have a nice big W in my column with my job. I'm in a good position. I'm respected at my company. I'm helping children learn how to read and write. I have a fulfilling job, and everything in my life is working, and you know, a lot more is working than not. So I've come to the position where it has taken me a very, very long journey to get here. But, you know, it's taken me about 10 years, and a lot of evolution has occurred, and that's important to recognize. And I don't think people understand that, but you're bringing all this shit out of me. You're terrible. So
I went through the same thing when I became my wife, Wakako Kawagoshi Fisher, went through I dealt with her cancer for 12 years. And at the end of her life, she had severe anemia, and then it led to colon cancer, and I was her sole caregiver. That was a big growth moment, like all of it, like taking care of her and helping her and working with her was a huge, huge growth. No, I had a growth on my shoulder, this big giant. No, like I learned, and I became a different person, and I developed maybe a compassion I might not have had. I don't know. But especially the last year of her life and dealing with the colon cancer and all of it was so brutal. And I had a lot of people telling me, Hart, I don't want to hear any more about this on your Facebook page. Shut up. Stop it. I don't want to hear any more of the sadness or weakness. Stop it. I want the strong heart. I'm tired of broken heart. I am tired of broken heart. And then after all that bullshit of these people telling me, oh, stop talking about this online, I had a close personal friend die of colon cancer, a really close friend out like back in Los Angeles, and his wife, who was his sole caregiver, and his death was a lot more sudden, and Toby went through a lot more pain, or maybe Toby handled the pain differently. But his wife was like, Hart, thank you for posting what you posted on your Facebook. It really helped me deal with Toby's cancer and Toby's death. And so I would say to anybody who wants me to shut up, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. Because there's that one fucking person who needs to hear it. That one person. And my friend Kat called me up. It makes me stronger than you guys can fucking believe. That kind of thing, Hart, I needed to hear that. When Toby was screaming in pain, I was reading your entries, and you helped me get through this. So that's why I'm like, Anybody wants me to be quiet? Fuck you, motherfucker, fuck you. And I'm spitting and I'm getting crazy, but I feel this and I'm like, no, there's somebody out here who fucking is going to hear this and it's going to be so important to them. And it's going to mean life or fucking death, bro.
I mean,
you feel me on this?
Look. I know people who I thought were over the edge and might have jumped. And I'm like, hey, man, I'm here for you if you need me. Here's my number.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
maybe, there's a question with somebody who was an ex-friend, but I thought he was going to kill himself that night. And I was concerned. And I said, dude, I'll see you tomorrow. And you'd be surprised. Something like that can make somebody stop. Be like, dude, I'll see you tomorrow. Because
I ain't surprised.
You know what is? Somebody might say, there's more to life. And look, I've had situations where somebody, just recently shot me something and be like, I was having a tough time, man. I appreciate you reaching out to me. The fact that you brought something up that I didn't know about from high school 5 years ago or 10 years ago, man, I really appreciate that. And you'd be surprised. And I've had a few of those stories. So I'm not, and those are private things. I'm a very private.
I wouldn't be surprised, but I'd be honored if I heard about it.
I don't like to tout that stuff. I don't, because
no, we're not going to talk about this on the air. You and I talk off the air. So when we talk off the air, we'll talk about this, but not on the air, because we all know that there's a bunch of people out there watching. And so there's people think we're brutally honest, and we are, but there's still something you've got to keep to yourself. And there's things you're scared about, and there's soft parts of yourself that you're like, fuck, I can't talk about this yet.
There's an issue that I will not talk about right now because I'm still working through it, and I don't feel like I can articulate it very well right at the moment. And so I do not want to publicly display what I can't articulate to be, disrespectful.
Well, honestly, again, you're going to that disrespect. Shut up on that disrespect crap. Stop it with this disrespectful. You're a human being, and you're being honest, and you're being real. And I'm so happy that you felt okay to talk about what's going on with your feet. That's honest, and that affects your decisions. That affects your life.
You know what it is? I mean, look, you know what it is? There's a lot of stuff that's going on. It's a complicated issue, but it's taken me about 12 years. Where we're in the last probably 6 months, I made a lot of decisions. I'll tell a real crazy story. So I was seeing the surgeon to deal with my feet, and I got an email on Thursday about my job. He said, we got some good news for you. So I'm going to this surgeon to deal with my feet and get a situation that mayor to see if the surgeon can help me out and do the surgery. So now I get a call. When somebody says from a job, I got some good news for you. I just want to give you a heads up. We're going to talk tomorrow. I'm like, okay, cool. I might have gotten this job. Now I'm getting the job offer, going through the benefits package. I'm on the phone going to a surgeon to deal with my feet. I have another offer to go down a different path. So I have no concerns. And now I'm offered a decent amount of money to go work for this company, way more than what I asked for. And I'm now 10 minutes late to my surgeon, and then I get a position where he can do the surgery. I just got a job offer, and it's 12 o'clock. I get out of that, and I'm like, I got a problem where I have 3 amazing options on the table. And I can tell you the best decision I made that day was going to Dunkin' Donuts before I got any of these phone calls and got a
Dunkin' Donuts.
So I was awake. But here's the kicker. So it was like, I think, Memorial Day weekend. So I was smart not to give them an answer immediately because I wanted to think. On Sunday morning, I screamed a banshee call out at 6 a.m. at the top of my lungs due to stress. And both my parents came rushing down and said, "Are you okay?" I said, what's going on? I don't remember screaming, but I was under that much pressure. So my point is that there's a lot of shit going on in my life right now. I'm very, but I was like, I'm fine. But there was no, I can't explain that concept to somebody when you just scream. If I was in an apartment building, probably somebody would call the police because it probably would have rained through the building. I was that positioned out and stressed out. And I'm like, and man, I could tell you, holy fucking shit, man. That's the most stress I've been under in the last 5 years of my life. But I made the right call because I'm happy at my job and it's awesome.
I've been there on the fucking balcony of an apartment complex in Los Angeles, going through the rape and murder of my loved one, and screaming at like fucking 2 a.m. in the arms of my buddy, and just screaming and having all these other people, shut up, shut the fuck up, go back to bed, fuck you. And my buddy's like, fuck you, man, his girlfriend just got raped and murdered. Fuck you, assholes, fuck you. So I get you, man, I get you.
I could tell you, like, I told this story on air with somebody, and they're like, I didn't think they understood. I think you understand when you're at that level.
Why do you think war veterans like to work with me? Why do you think military veterans work with me? Crime victims work with me? Why do you think that John Wayne Gacy's best friend and a Columbine survivor in his wheelchair were all hanging out with me in a hotel room at a true crime convention in 2015 in Chicago, and we're all talking about survivor guilt? All of us. The 3 of us. That's what we were talking about with these weird Charles Manson acolyte assholes, wannabes, all circling around us, these parasites looking to siphon off some of that juice for themselves. Yeah. Damaged people seek out damaged people, and we help each other get better.
I mean, I worked in a few VSOs down in DC, and they were fantastic. And
I think you talked about that in our last interview, our last 4-hour. What hour are we on now, you jagoff?
2:20.
God damn it! I'm gonna have to quit soon, dude. I gotta feed this woman.
Well, we'll save this for the next time.
No, we're gonna keep talking for a little bit. I'm just saying, soon we'll wrap it up. Right now, we're talking about some heavy shit, which I actually think is very important to people at home. Like, everybody thinks, like, did I just come on here to sell Dahmer books? No, that ain't me. I'm different than that. And so I feel that
I'm interviewing solely to sell your books. But that's the whole point here.
Then we're talking about
don't care about shit. Let me explain my logic here. I want this book published. We want this book published. So I need
it's going to be published
so that I get what I want. This is about me. It's not about you. It's not about your book. It's that I want to read this book, and I want other people to read this book. So if I could bring you in another $500, which means that we only need to get another $1,000 to reach your goal, I don't care, because I'm going to get what I want, which is this book published. It's about me. I'm a very selfish individual. This is about me, because if
I like that.
Honestly, let me finish. No, let me finish, please.
I like that.
I want this book published. There must be a bunch of other people who want this book published too. So we have a vested interest in making sure you get the money you need, plus some, so it continues to go forward. And we get more of this, and we get more of what you produce. That's my logic. Now, maybe I'm crazy. Who knows? But that's what I want. And if I want it, and I think I'm a very rational person to be very polite about this, and be logical, there must be a bunch of people like me who want this too. And that's how I think. But anyway, that's my opinion on life.
Fuck, dude, you said it better than I could say it. That's exactly what I would say if you were my guest on my fucking show. I want to see this book published. Like, okay, people think, oh, you're cashing in. No, man, there's a reason why this book has never been reprinted. It's from a very savage time in my life. It brings up a lot of fucking bad memories, man.
People don't understand.
For me to publish this book now, I kind of feel like I've been put in a corner, but also I want this book out there. I want you guys to read it because it's a good book. It's a good fucking book.
I'm going to ask you a question, actually. I don't know.
Don't you say anything about respect, God damn it.
No. It's not a respect question. My question to you, it might be fucked up, but my question is that how many people so I'm gonna probably end my year around 136 interview wise. Probably about most of it, I think maybe 60% is Kickstarters. How many of those campaigns do you think that I backed this year of the people that I interviewed?
5.
It's about 10.
Wow, I was close.
So, but it's not a lot, right? So everybody who I interview, I don't back your fucking campaign. I back campaigns that I believe in or I want your book. So I didn't back your book because you were coming on my show. I backed your book because I believed in it and I want it, right? Now, every once in a while, I'll back somebody's book because I'm like, yeah, you convinced me. And in this interview, or I owe you one, or I'm showing good faith because I want you back and I want you to have a positive interaction with me. And I'm like, cool, I'll take a high flyer on this. It's $8, right? I'll take an $8 risk. That's nothing to me in Kickstarter land. The point is that it's I don't back to earn my backing. You need to really make me convinced, and you need to convince me that I want your book or I need it. So I didn't even interview you. I wanted this book from the first time that we spoke and my research on this book, and I wanted it. And I'm stoked for it, to be quite honest. If you didn't come on my show, I still would have backed your book.
Thank you.
Because I want it. I don't know what I don't know which story I'm gonna love more, but I'm excited for it.
I've had a very difficult love-hate relationship with the Dahmer comics based on, okay, the people at home have no fucking clue what it means that your mother has to lie about who her sons are at work. They don't know. They don't know what that's like. They don't have a fucking clue what it's like to have the police tell you to leave town. They don't have a fucking clue. And it's all over a book that I know is a good book. But back then they made me question it. And I was always a terrible critic of my work. And the great thing in the revival is I've gone back to the work and I reread these books. And I said, holy shit. The bio book is fantastic. The writing is solid. The young Jeffrey Dahmer is done by this insane Russian artist. I forgot all about where young Jeffrey Dahmer takes a straw and sticks up a frog's ass and blows the frog up till it explodes. There's some crazy shit in these books. The Dahmer versus Christ book, I was going through it. I'm like, I was laughing. I wrote the book and I'm reading it. I have not read it in over 20 years and I'm laughing my ass off. It's fucking funny. It's good. And it's a response to censorship. It's a response to the media domination of a character. And it is totally worth reading. It's a good read. You are going to want this on your bookshelf. And that's why I appreciate your statement about like, hey, Hart, I'm not doing this because I want the hologram cover. I want to read the book. And that's been my mantra. What has been the mantra of Boneyard Press the whole fucking time? I, Hart Fisher, the publisher, published books I wanted to read. Period.
I'm going to throw you a statement and I want you to hold me to it. You are my last Indiegogo / crowdfunding / Kickstarter for the year that I haven't already backed. The ones that are due is Mike Barron's book. That's the one that's due in December, but that's already accounted for. I've already pledged to his Private American book, which I think is an exception. But your book is my last one for the year on Kickstarter / Indiegogo.
That's an honor, man. Thank you. I don't know.
I have no desire as far as comics. Now, if there's a trading card set, that's kind of an exception, but I am not backing another person's book till 2023. And I think that there would have to be a massive exception in which that it would have to be somebody who's so fucking damn good that they come out of the blue and I don't care. You're the last one. I want you to hold me to it. I want you to hold me to it. I really do.
How do I hold you to it? You've already got fucked up feet. I'm a martial arts master. What am I going to beat up the guy with fucked up feet? I can't do that. I can't do that.
You get in which that my point is that I'm very selective. I'm not an Indiegogo guy. I'm not anti-Indiegogo. The platform is a little weird. I don't know how add-ons work on Indiegogo, but if we do get to that point, I am a trading card guy, trading card set guy. I love trading cards.
The great thing about the trading cards, and we haven't gotten this in the show at all, is in the criticisms of the victims' families when I do these talk shows, they yell at me from the audience, "Why don't you do a book about the victims?" Well, I told them, you need to write that book because you're the victim. You need to write that book. They didn't like that. So when I did an American Horror Story, I'm a victim of violent crime. Okay, so those victims' families, my inner voice is saying, Hart, don't go there. But fuck it, I'm going to go there. The victims' families had one trial. Dahmer was tried once. The guy who raped and murdered my loved one, Michelle, 3 different murder trials over the course of 10 fucking years. And I'm a prominent witness. It's a sex crime. The guy that raped and murdered my girl, his defense was they liked rough sex. And so all those bruises on her and shit was because she liked rough sex. And he was the guy on the side. So, anyone who has a criticism about me, about doing these books, fuck you. Fuck you. You don't know shit about my life. I had to walk past this rapist murderer several times. And I'm a martial artist. I can kill you. I'm trained.
I'm gonna throw out something to you. You've seen, I'm sure you've watched this where a father jumps over the table and is trying to get the guy, right? And then the father winds up getting restrained. I'm sure that the bailiffs are not going to harm the guy per se, but I'm sure
I only need 30 seconds. I don't need long. I don't need long. And before I testified at the very first trial of this guy who raped and murdered my girlfriend, I was out of my mind. I was angry as fuck. I had friends in the community that wanted me to attack the killer in the courtroom. They liked the Dahmer coverage and they were advocating for me to attack this guy in the courtroom. I don't need much to be able to, like, if I get my hands on you, you're fucked. And that's before Gokor and Gene taught me. So before I testified at that first murder trial, I was concerned that I would lose my mind. I was concerned that I would act stupidly and kill this guy. And my father got down on his hands and knees and he begged me not to throw my life away, to not kill this guy in the courtroom. That's murder trial number 1. So anyone who wants to give me shit about a Dahmer comic book, go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself hard and slow and long and dry. Go fuck yourself. I'm from hell. I've been through hell. And luckily my father did that. My father cut through all the bullshit. I was crazy. I was losing my mind. I was losing my fucking mind. We cut through it all.
I understand. I understand, and I get it. I get it. And then I don't think anybody, and those people. I mean, I've seen the Jerry Springer. I've seen I always get her name wrong. That other one. I've seen the Larry King interview. I think all those people don't get it. I think what is, they're so with blinders on.
Yeah.
But I want this trading card set. I really do. I'm a big trading card guy. I do unboxings with trading cards.
So the trading card set that we're doing for the Dahmer campaign, if we hit a certain goal, I haven't announced a stretch goal, but we're going to do a victim card set. We're going to play the victim card. And that was their criticism. Why don't you do a story about the victims? Well, you know what, motherfucker? I'm a victim of violent crime. Lots of violent crimes. So we're going to do a victim trading card set.
I really want this, dude. I want this so fucking badly. I also want that OJ comic. I don't know if I qualify, though.
Oh, dude. The OJ books, Doing Time with OJ and OJ's Big Bust Out, those are good books.
So what's the deal with that one too? Because it was it for everybody who backed on Black Friday, or was it everybody who backed?
Everybody who backed like Black Friday. Fucking what did we do, Abby? Like Black Friday, Black Saturday, Black Sunday, fucking Cyber Monday. Everybody who fucking contributed got fucking OJ book. But dude, you're such a good supporter. Give me your address. I'll fucking send you an OJ book for free.
I mean, I'm backer number 7, so you could just fucking include it if I'm already included.
Backer number 7.
I just want that book. Like, I don't know if you know this. So my dad's an attorney, and I'm probably gonna get in trouble for this, but he was involved in a case that was in the paper that when Dahmer got killed in prison. So he forgot to get it for me tonight because I was going to show it up. Like, because you're the guy to show that paper to. Because he was mentioned in the paper that day with a different thing, not related to Dahmer. My father's a civil attorney, everybody, before you ask.
He's not a divorce attorney?
What'd you say?
Divorce.
No, he's a litigator. So he's a trial lawyer, and he's a beast.
Your dad and I would have a lot of fun at a bar over some fucking old fashions.
My father's not a drinker. That's the problem. So
well, he can drink water. I have drinks every Friday. Okay, dude. Every Friday, I have drinks with a federal judge. Every Friday, I have drinks with an Illinois federal judge. No, you got to draw your own goddamn conclusions. Your dad's the lawyer.
All right. I'm not saying anything. I'm just gonna smile. I
think the whiskey's kicking in on you.
It might be. It might be.
You're getting kind of quiet. You're getting kind of slow. The whiskey's kicking in.
Don't worry. After hours, it'll be a lot more fun. I promise.
Well, you've got fucked up feet, so you're easy. I could have my way with you. No problem.
Oh, I am so easy. There's so many things I could say, but I'm being polite tonight.
Well, I'm a big cuddle guy. I'm a cuddle guy. So all you
I do like cuddling. I do like cuddling. But anyway.
My girlfriend's over here grinning her fucking ass off. She's fucking smiling off camera.
Anyway, we've been speaking for almost like 3 hours. And
yep.
I do want to talk privately after hours. Sorry, everybody, you're not going to be privileged to that. But I do want to give you a chance to promote everything you got going on. Obviously, I put the Indiegogo in the description. It's a great book. I'm excited for it. I think this is one of the things you're not going to want to miss. And I think that if you buy this book, and correct me if I'm wrong, I do not think people will be disappointed. So I do recommend people picking up this book. It is cool. It's not that expensive. It's, for the trade paperback altogether, It's about $50 with shipping, which isn't terrible.
Shipping's a bitch. I'm sorry, guys. I'm so sorry that shipping is so high. But
Well, let me counter you though. Let me counter you. So I sell comic books in Gemini's, and my comic books arrive immaculate. I charge $12 shipping. So I mean, I could tell you from a business perspective in my business.
So it's okay for me to charge for a 154-page book $15 in shipping. It's reasonable.
My point, I'm not even challenging you on that point. I'm saying, look.
No, it's not challenging. I'm asking you as a creator, like, am I out of line?
Honestly, I didn't even give a fuck to be polite about it. I didn't even know that I threw in a $5 tip. I didn't care. Like I didn't give a fuck, dude. Like, I'm at such a point where if I want something, I don't care. I think that it's a little high, but also at the same time, I get it, because let's be realistic. Shipping is complicated right now.
Shipping is expensive. For me to ship media mails like $8, and I can't do it. I gotta ship Gemini mailers. I can't just do the bulk postage. I've had customers have their shit fucked up, so I ship all my stuff in the Gemini mailers because this stuff's important to my customer, and my customer is important to me. So I want to make sure they get good shit.
So I'm selling books. When I sell a $180 book, you're damn right I'm shipping that thing in a fucking Gemini, and you're damn right I'm going to insure it. And my customer knows for sure that thing is going to be protected like a fucking safe. My customers understand on eBay that I am going to protect, and they're going to pay more money for it to arrive perfectly. And so I don't think you're out of line. But anyway, my point is that the book's great, but I do want to give you a chance to promote yourself. I don't think you're out of line. I think that, you know what is, I'd prefer if it was $12, but again, shipping is insane. But we don't know what the fuck's going to happen in January. We don't. And so that's my point, is that $15, I get it. I'm in business. I completely get it. My shipping rate might go up. So I get it.
It kills me. Like, trying to figure this stuff out, like, upsets me, because, okay, I grew up a poor kid on the south side of Chicago. So
I'm telling you, it's not a big deal. It's really not. And here's why it's not a big deal. People who want this, everybody in this stage who wants this book, the shipping isn't the breaking point. It's not. We're already spending $35 for a trade paperback. At that point, you're too deep in to back out. When I'm spending $35 for a trade paperback, I'm too far in to back out.
Or okay, if you can't afford the physical product, we have the digital product. I'll admit, I'm a guy who wants to flip the pages, but if you're hurting, you can get the digital book cheaper.
Well, I don't want to flip the pages. I want to put this book on my shelf. I would rather read the digital on my computer or on my iPad, not read the physical.
Okay.
But have this on my
Luddite, but there's something great when that book shows up and you sit there on your couch and you're flipping the pages. Oh my God. And you read the book in your hands.
I understand that. I have a different philosophy. My goal right now, I'm in my parents' house and I'm fixing my life. Again, a 6-month plan. But when I go into a studio every week, I want a different book in my background on display. That's why I like having physical books more so than anything else, more than reading, because if I can give this book a spotlight while I'm doing an interview with somebody, wouldn't that be fantastic if it's just sitting in the background, right? So I'm a strong believer that I also like having physical media. And so I take pride in what's in my bookshelf. I take a huge amount of pride in my bookshelf.
I do too. My bookshelf is a thing where I'm like, you came into my house and you didn't look at my bookshelf at all. Look at my bookshelf penis. Look at my intellectual penis. Look at it. I get upset when people do not look at my bookshelf, because I've got all these wonderful relationships with artists and stuff and writers, and so I have all these like first editions, and my collection is really important to me, and I feel like it says a lot about me, and I think that's a collector thing.
I've spent a lot of money on Barnes & Noble. They have all these beautiful classic bound books. My graduation gift from college was a Barnes & Noble set of all these books plus like 10 more from my parents. Sounds crazy. I had a bookshelf in my room back where I used to live. I loved it. I looked at that bookshelf every day. It was things like Alice in Wonderland, The Wizard of Oz, Dante's Inferno.
Every goddamn time I would meet a girl, I would look to see if she had a bookshelf. Because if I could browse her books, her library, it told me something about her. Oh, hi, I'm sorry, I'm Hart Fisher, completely heterosexual. I like chicks.
See, you and me are different. I browsed her panty drawer, and then I looked at that. And I'm like, okay, now I know what
I work in porn, so I'm all about the mind. I'm a mind fucker. So I want to see your bookshelf before I play with what's under the panties, because the brain is the biggest sex organ of all. The brain is the largest sex organ.
That might be true, but
we should probably end on that note, and then you and I should talk offline. I'm going to do the sum up. Let me do the sum up. We're going to talk offline. My phone's about to go dead. All right. Hi, I'm Hart D. Fisher. You can watch American Horrors for free on Roku, Glued.tv, www.americanhorrors.net, www.boneyardpress2020.com, and American Horrors Classic. We have 2 linear streaming horror channels with no commercials during the movies. You can watch them. Fun, crazy, insane, completely uncensored, completely unwoke. No woke programming. No woke programming at all. Fuck you, Disney. Suck my fucking dick. You promote all this homosexual shit, but suck my dick, Disney. Oh, Disney. Suck it, Disney. Oh, suck it, Disney. And contribute to the Boneyard Press, www.Indiegogo Big Book of Dahmer campaign. Please help us out. We need your help. Now, the TV channel is fucking free, god damn it. It's free. There's no commercials during the movies. What's wrong with you? It's free. It's a free hamburger. It's a free Jack and Coke. Go watch the channel. But contribute to the Big Book of Dahmer on Indiegogo by Hart Fisher.
And I'm Andrew Davis, and I approve this message. Go support Pop Anime Comics on Twitter at Pop Anime Comics, Instagram Pop Anime Comics, Facebook Pop Anime Comics, YouTube Pop Anime Comics, and I may or may not have a comic book class coming teaching you how to invest in comic books sometime in January. And on that note, that is a perfect place to end, because that is a wrap.